Chapter 289, Chapter 289, Found the Mine. Chapter 289, Found the Mine. In the void, Jiang Hao saw countless lines around him. They were extensions of the formation. These lines seemed simple but contained infinite power. Upon closer observation, one would notice numerous interweaving runes among them. It was not something an ordinary person could comprehend. Jiang Hao glanced at them briefly and ignored them. Instead, he focused on the changes in the formation and slowly moved his body. Only by doing so could he smoothly enter the blood-tide forest. At the same time, that summoning came once again. It seemed to urge him to give up on the blood-tide forest and follow wherever it wanted to lead him. Jiang Hao turned around. Based on his calculations, that place should be the Myriad Stone Forest. It was the Golden Core region. This has happened twice already. What is calling me? Jiang Hao was puzzled. He could sense that this summoning originated from within himself and not from any magical treasure. But he chose to ignore it. The Golden Core region was too dangerous. He'd better go to the Foundation Establishment region. They could fight over opportunities there. Everyone entered the corpse realm this time for opportunities. Even the people from the Heavenly Joy Pavilion wouldn't easily give up on opportunities, even if they wanted to avenge senior sister Yun Ruo. Jiang Hao chose the blood-tide forest and quickly proceeded there. He didn't care about the summoning. No one had mentioned the summoning to him, so he didn't understand what it actually was. Jiang Hao arrived above the blood-tide forest. With one more selection, he would descend completely. It seemed to open a stable passage for him to enter. Such a treatment. It seems that this place is indeed unusual. Jiang Hao chose the blood-tide forest. Without hesitation, he entered the Foundation Establishment region. He didn't want to take unnecessary risks. He would follow his original plan. If he wanted to walk a different path, he could do so after becoming invincible. Whoosh! The wind whistled past his ear and he landed on the ground, feeling a little dizzy. What came into view was an extremely vast forest. There were open spaces and dangers here. And of course, there were opportunities. Jiang Hao noticed 3 other people nearby. 2 men and 1 woman. Their attires were different from each other, but they appeared calm. At a glance, it was clear that they were disciples of extraordinary sects. However, he couldn't guess which sect they belonged to. According to Zhuang Yuzhen, the Corpse Realm flowers were not limited to the Divine Corpse sect. Jiang Hao had asked before whether the Corpse Realm flower could reproduce an increase in number, but the answer he received was negative. The flower turned back into a seed after maturing, and it waited to be planted once again. There was no need to worry about the Corpse Realm flower being stolen or destroyed because of this reason. All 3 of them are at the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. Jiang Hao silently observed the 3 individuals. He carefully assessed them. The woman seemed to be in her early 20s. One of the men looked calm and elegant, while the other appeared cold and indifferent. They all held spirit swords as their treasures. Most likely, they were from immortal sects. Late sage of the Foundation Establishment realm? The elegantly dressed man smiled at Jiang Hao. Why don't the 4 of us team up? You can help us with the dirty work. What do you think, everyone? I have no objections, said the woman. What's your value? The cold and indifferent man asked. Jiang Hao looked at the 3 of them but remained still. He noticed that tree that Zhuang Yuzhen had mentioned. The bloodthirsty trees. If one made any sudden moves, the tree would attack and devour them. Jiang Hao wasn't scared, but one misstep could reveal his cultivation realm to everyone. He didn't want to cause any trouble. Your value? The elegantly dressed man asked with a playful smile. Why don't you come over and test my value for yourself? No one else spoke. The 4 of them stood silent and motionless. I said, why don't you come over and test my value? Shut up. The elegantly dressed man took the lead. I'm Ji Wen. What about you guys? Zhuge Zheng, said the cold and indifferent man. Murong Qingqing, said the woman. Jiang Hao had no intention of mentioning his name. He planned to act alone anyway. What about you? Asked Ji Wen with a friendly smile. Jiang Hao. You can help us with the dirty work. The blood-tide forest has many spirit herbs, and these herbs need someone to take care of them after transplantation. You can be responsible for that. Your safety will be our responsibility during this time, said Ji Wen. Jiang Hao was speechless. Take care of spirit herbs. After hesitating for a moment, he asked, is there a mine nearby? I still want to do some mining. The three of them were taken aback. It was their first time encountering someone like him. Are you from a small sect? Murong Qingqing asked. That's unlikely. He entered the blood-tide forest, and he is still standing. He shouldn't be from a small sect, said Ji Wen. The number of spots for entry is limited. They wouldn't let a weak person in. Zhuge Zheng looked at Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao was surprised. These people were so wary of him. But he didn't mind. He had told them the truth. He really wanted to do some mining. I do know a place where you can do some mining, but it doesn't produce anything good. My senior has been mining there for half a year, and he only found some relatively rare ores, Ji Wen said. Is the place safe? Is it suitable for planting spirit herbs? Murong Qingqing asked. Compared to other places, it's decent. Ji Wen nodded. Then let's go. Zhuge Zheng looked at Jiang Hao. He wants to mine, so let him mine. The current situation was turning out to be advantageous. In any case, he would let them lead the way for now. Let's go. I'll take you to see the mine. Ji Wen led the way. When it got dark, the bloodthirsty trees fell into a deep sleep. They would wake up again tomorrow. However, these trees were not very common. After walking for a while, they noticed that the trees there were only ordinary blood-tide trees. Jiang Hao walked at the very back of the line. The three in front didn't seem to worry about him launching a surprise attack or escaping. But he could sense that they were on their guard. They could quickly counterattack if someone made a move. These people had excellent talents and strong vigilance. They were much stronger than Yi Shan and the others from the Ice Moon Valley. They're all disciples of major sects, Jiang Hao speculated. Usually, once the corpse realm flowers were discovered, they would be seized by major sects. The Heavenly Note sect existed because it was already a top-tier sect. Moreover, all their items were snatched from other major sects. Ordinary sects couldn't do something like that. There were major sects in the southern region, but they probably didn't know about the flowers yet. They walked for a day. During the journey, they encountered other people, but no one made a move. Everyone had come for opportunities, and no one wanted to act out. They also encountered some spirit herbs along the way, which were divided equally among the three people. Jiang Hao gained nothing. We're here. In front of a pitch-black cave, Ji Wen pointed to the entrance. The mine is right here. If you want to mine, go ahead. We're not interested. But we'll get our share of the harvest. And of course, you can have a share of the spirit herbs. You take care of the dirty work, and we won't treat you unfairly. Jiang Hao frowned as he looked at the cave. This mine made him feel a sense of danger. Chapter 290. Chapter 290. I've been waiting for this day for many years. Chapter 290. I've been waiting for this day for many years. That actually looks dangerous. If the Foundation establishment region is like this, I can't imagine how the Golden Core region must be. Jiang Hao stared at the entrance of the cave. He decided not to wander around aimlessly. It was better to find a place to grow spirit herbs and ores. He had already found both locations. Jiang Hao looked around and saw many spots outside the cave that could be cleared and used as spirit fields. The spiritual energy here was abundant. Though he hadn't examined the soil yet, the nearby flowers and trees grew well. They naturally emitted spiritual energy. It seemed that both the environment and soil were suitable. They just needed some time to tend to it. This cave is a bit strange. My senior warned me that we can only mine here at night. It becomes dangerous as soon as daylight comes. He doesn't know the exact reason, but regardless of whether you're at the Foundation, establishment or Golden Core realm, you have to stay away during the day, Ji Wen said to Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao nodded. Entering the cave didn't guarantee a safe return. He couldn't pinpoint the exact danger, but he could feel it. In that case, Let's clear space here for growing spirit herbs. We'll handle the herbs during the day and mine at night. Any objections? Gu Wen asked the others. None, said Zhuge Zheng. Me neither, Murong Qingqing said. In that case, you'll be in charge of the spirit fields, and we'll go out to search for things, Gu Wen said to Jiang Hao. Sure, Jiang Hao said calmly. He was naturally happy to have someone help find the spirit herbs. Although it was challenging to get blue bubbles like the ones the heavenly fragrance Dao flower spawned, there might still be a few bubbles. Moreover, there was also mining to do, which was the most important task. I have to open up the spirit fields before it gets dark and then explore the mining cave. Jiang Hao began clearing the vegetation to create a sizable spirit field. Gu Wen and the other two were somewhat surprised by Jiang Hao's agreeable attitude. Is he really so easy to deal with? They didn't dwell on it and left separately to search for opportunities. Jiang Hao watched them disappear into the forest. These three were really cautious and stayed hidden in the shadows and observed everything. Jiang Hao finished setting up the spirit field and built a small wooden house and a warehouse. The three of them were still not back. Checking the time, Jiang Hao took out a mining pickaxe from his storage treasure. As soon as it got dark, the danger disappeared, and he could finally explore the mining cave. He had been waiting for this day for a long time. As for the three who were still observing from the shadows, he paid them no attention. They were overly cautious, but he didn't mind. No one would waste a slot to allow a Foundation Establishment realm cultivator in if they were just ordinary. Though there might be some who entered based on connections. Some people were just too arrogant and looked down on others. Such people were troublesome, but fortunately, he hadn't encountered any yet. Before entering the mining cave, Jiang Hao glanced at his interface. I'm still far from advancing. I wonder if mining can catch up to the heavenly fragrance Dao flower's benefits. Currently, he was at the late stage of the primordial spirit realm. Furthermore, the quality of the ores in the mining area was extremely high. After all, the mining area was beneath an ancient battlefield. There were remnants of ancient souls, inheritances from powerful beings, and even treasures. Among all the mining areas in the cultivation world, which one could compare to it? However, ores were still ores, and while blue bubbles were rare, white and green ones were still common. It was still a great gain. Entering the mining cave, Jiang Hao felt a chill. The stone walls emitted a faint light and made the entire passage visible. It was an extensive tunnel. The air carried a trace of toxicity that would accumulate in the body after prolonged exposure, and it could even evade cultivation realms. If I were really in the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm, I couldn't stay here for long. With his current cultivation realm, it wasn't a problem, especially since he had the revival of the withered tree ability. These toxins had no effect on him. Soon, he arrived at a fork in the path. One led to the left and the other to the right. He went left. What's going on? Nothing here. There were no dangers along the way. Why is this place so dangerous during the day? Before long, he reached a dead end. Jiang Hao didn't think too much about it. Even if there were dangers, he could handle them. When he set up the spirit fields, he buried a golden ring, which could transport him away in 3 breaths' time. He also had the 1,000 miles teleportation talisman. It would be even faster. The only problem was that he couldn't make new talismans, at least not yet. If he damaged his divine abilities, it would do more harm than good. Perhaps after reaching the soul ascension realm, he could make more. But to reach soul refining, he would need at least 3 more years. After he reached the soul ascension realm, his potential and cultivation realm would rank among the top 10 disciples in the sect. He would be much safer within the sect. Sighing, Jiang Hao picked up the pickaxe and began mining. Clang. Piece by piece, he dug out the rocks. Their hardness was extraordinary. Fortunately, his pickaxe was a magical treasure. Otherwise, he wouldn't know how long it could hold up. Clang. Clang. After some time, white bubbles began to appear, followed by green bubbles. As Jiang Hao continued to work, more ores appeared around him. He didn't recognize these ores and just left them aside. In the middle of the night, a piece of ore fell, and a blue bubble emerged. So fast. He worked even harder at mining until he felt a sense of danger once again. It was as though something was coming from every direction. Without hesitation, he carried the mined ores and retreated from the cave. Fortunately, he left the entrance before the crisis happened. As soon as he came out, he bumped into Ji Wen and the others. The three of them gave Jiang Hao strange looks as if saying, "Were you really mining?" When Jiang Hao was putting the ores into his warehouse, they were even more puzzled. Did this guy come here just to do odd jobs? Jiang Hao sighed. Time passed so quickly. It was already morning, and only one blue bubble had appeared. At this moment, he noticed the spirit herbs in the fields. There were 3 plants with abundant spiritual energy, but all 3 showed signs of withering. These are the spirit herbs we brought back. We don't know how to cultivate them, and we can't just store them away. It's up to you now, Ji Wen said to Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao nodded and began to observe the spirit herbs. After an entire day's effort, he managed to revitalize the herbs a bit. But it was clearly not enough. They needed long-term care. When night arrived, Jiang Hao got up and proceeded to the mine. In the early morning, he brought out a lot of ores again. Then, he continued to take care of the spirit herbs. Ji Wen and the others watched in bewilderment. Chapter 291, Chapter 291, Shocking Genius. Chapter 291, Shocking Genius. On the 3rd day after their arrival, Ji Wen, Zhuge Zheng, and Murong Qingqing stood under a big tree and observed Jiang Hao as he took care of the spirit herbs. They were all puzzled. "What do you guys think?" Ji Wen asked. "I only know that anyone who can enter this place must be an outstanding disciple of the sect. Even if someone got in through connections, they wouldn't be too ordinary. This person's behavior is extremely strange, and he must have his own purpose," Zhuge Zheng said coldly. "There's a possibility that his cultivation level is too low, but he might be a smart person who knows the current situation. He even brought a mining pickaxe, so it seems he was prepared," Murong Qingqing asked. "There's a chance, but these odd jobs are really effective, and the number of ores he mined today is more than usual." "What does that indicate?" "He not only handed everything over but also never took a break. I remember the yield my senior mentioned," Ji Wen said with a smile. "Let's see how long he can keep this up. Maybe it's just a pretense, and he will slow down in a few days," Zhuge Zheng suggested. "I think so, too. This way, he's wasting opportunities and even hindering his cultivation," Murong Qingqing said. "Probably," Ji Wen replied. The 3 of them fell silent. Regardless, they were all here to seek opportunities, and the spirit herbs were a bonus. If they could bring back more, that would be even better. The same went for the ores. These were all secondary matters. They wanted to obtain what they truly desired. Before they found it, there was no need to start conflicts. After that, the 3 of them began searching for opportunities. At this moment, Jiang Hao, who was tending to the spirit herbs, looked up and felt surprised as he saw the 3 of them leaving. These people didn't have any greed. They just focused on their purpose. To them, these external resources weren't that important. Well, they are extraordinary disciples within their sects. Ordinary resources are just icing on the cake for them. There's no need for them to pay too much attention to it. He glanced at the ores and let out a sigh. Unfortunately, the ores needed to be sold for spirit stones, and he had no idea how much he would get for them. The ores weren't anything extraordinary, and their value wasn't too high. Moreover, blue bubbles were truly rare. Only one had appeared in 2 days. The few spirit herbs had only produced white bubbles. However, Jiang Hao was not disappointed. To have such gains right after coming in could be considered remarkable. It was all thanks to those 3. If it weren't for them, he wouldn't know how long it would have taken him to find the mining cave. Now, all he needed to do was take care of the spirit herbs during the day. This kind of life was fulfilling. If only the heavenly fragrance Dao flower was here with him, it would have been perfect. With the heavenly fragrance Dao flower and many spirit herbs in the front, and a mining cave available for mining at any time in the back, such things could only happen in a fantasy. Days passed by in this manner. Half a month later, Ji Wen and the others brought back many spirit herbs. A night, They watched Jiang Hao go to the cave to mine. He worked harder every day. Was this really the behavior of a normal cultivator? Did his sect send him here just to mine? Wouldn't his sect be furious to know this? I feel that he's really here to mine, not to do odd jobs for us, Murong Qingqing said. What does he want? Zhuge Zheng asked. The ores were left aside. He didn't cultivate yet, and he didn't find any special treasures. He had been mining here all the time, which was clearly strange. Why would he mine so desperately without a purpose? That's a good question. I'm curious about what he wants too, Ji Yuwen said curiously. After all, my senior was also crazy about mining. No one knows what he wanted. The more he mined, the more haggard he became. After half a year, he suddenly stopped mining. When he turned and left the mining cave, the bottleneck that had troubled him for a long time was completely resolved, and he advanced in one fell swoop. What peculiar things are there? Murong Qingqing asked. I don't know. No one told me. Ji Yuwen shook his head. Don't you want to try? Zhuge Zheng asked. No, I have my own path to follow, and there's no need to go down a road that isn't suitable for me just out of curiosity, Ji Yuwen said. What about you guys? Do you want to try? We were targeted, so let's first deal with those people, Zhuge Zheng said. They all had clear goals. Before they achieved their goals, they wouldn't get involved in unnecessary trouble. In the corpse realm, the myriad stone forest belonged to the Golden Core region, but people of various cultivation realms were here anyway. It was all because a mountain had appeared in the middle of the myriad stone forest. The mountain was lush with trees, and a river flowed down from the peak. High above, faint shadows of stone tablets could be seen. Senior Sister Lan Qian, is this the heavenly steely mountain? A young man at the foot of the mountain asked his senior. They were both disciples of the Divine Corpse sect. They had entered from the Heavenly Note sect. The young man had a delicate appearance, but his cultivation realm was in the late stage of the primordial spirit realm. The woman beside him was extraordinary, with a calm demeanor and a cultivation realm in the early stage of the soul ascension realm. There's something I've wanted to tell you for a long time. She looked at the young man beside her. It's about Yun Qi. Although he seems to have a good relationship with me, his personality is cold and violent. He's just good at disguising it. As he hasn't offended me, we can still talk. Lately, he seems to have some thoughts about my body. I wanted to deal with him myself, but when I saw him the next day, I just couldn't. He is friendly with me. He even lost that cruel and violent aura he had about him. What do you mean, senior sister? Yun Qi asked. Nothing. I'm just telling you. Many people know about Yun Qi's true nature. Due to his identity, no one wants to act against him. Otherwise, with what he has done, he's not worthy of staying in the Divine Corpse sect. Even if I sense something, I will turn a blind eye. But other people won't be able to do that, Lan Qian said. Yun Qi smiled. Senior sister, what do you think this mountain is all about? Heavenly Steely Mountain. It seems like a mountain with opportunities, but it's probably a place of inheritance. Moreover, there are deeper secrets inside. I'm not sure of the specifics, but if you gain insights here, you can advance faster, Lan Qian said. They followed the mountain path and saw an open space with a stone tablet on it. This is the first stone tablet, Lan Qian said. 36 heavenly stars are difficult to approach, but if you find the 72 earthly fiends, you can comprehend them. You can gain insights from whichever one you choose. Rumble. Suddenly, a faint light appeared on the stone tablet. Lan Qian was stunned. Senior sister, what does this light mean? Yun Qi asked curiously. Lan Qian frowned slightly. I've seen it before. This is Heavenly Steely Mountain trying to summon someone. Anyone summoned by the Heavenly Steely Mountain is a genius. But the previous light wasn't this obvious. Chapter 292, Chapter 292, The Charm Goddess. Chapter 292, The Charm Goddess. In the mining cave, Jiang Hao looked at his cultivation points and felt somewhat regretful. Half a month had passed, and they had only increased by 2 points each. In other words, there were only 4 blue bubbles in total. About 2 appeared each week. It's slower than expected. I wonder if it's because of the mine or my cultivation realm. If the mine wasn't good enough, it might be difficult to get more bubbles. It seemed that it was harder to find bubbles if one's cultivation realm was too high. He couldn't determine whether the ores here were of good or bad quality. However, he could be certain that the ores here were not as good as those in the Heavenly Note sect's mine. Clang. Jiang Hao stopped thinking and continued mining. Even though the bubbles were scarce, it wasn't much different from the number of bubbles produced by the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. Besides, there were many white bubbles here. Many bubbles flew to his body. Even if he lost all his cultivation, his spirit and strength were exceptionally strong. Especially now that they were increasing every day, it meant that his body would become stronger. As he mined into the middle of the night, he suddenly smelled a fragrance. It's here again. The fragrance had started to appear every 7 days after he began mining. But so far, nothing else had happened. The scent wasn't of spirit herbs but smelled more like a human body. The mining cave was not a simple place, and it was normal for unexpected things to appear along the way. Jiang Hao remained vigilant and continued mining. In the second half of the night, he finally obtained another blue bubble. He worked even harder. Jiang Hao paused. A woman dressed in thin gauze appeared beside him. She squatted on the ground with her chin on her hands. She looked up at him. Her long, slender thighs were exposed. Her appearance was like a radiant light in the darkness. He couldn't sense her cultivation realm. "Senior, who are you?" Jiang Hao asked in a low voice. He hadn't noticed her until she spoke. The fragrance from earlier was now very strong. This person had been lurking nearby for about a week. He just didn't know if she had been inside the cave all this time or had entered during the night. He appraised her. Jiang Hao was speechless. She had used charms on him for a week. He hadn't even been able to detect it. Since his book on charms was taken away by Hong Yuye, he felt embarrassed to ask for it back. There were 2 other books on charms, but they had taught him nothing so far. However, the fact that this person had innate ability and was born with a bewitching body was too terrifying. She was similar to senior sister Yun Ruo. Considering the fact that she was called Charm Goddess, her powers might be even more frightening than Yun Ruo. If I take her body and present it to the pavilion master of the Heavenly Joy Pavilion, will he finally forgive me? He thought about that for a moment, then shook his head. The pavilion master probably would hold on to his grudge. Besides, the charm goddess seemed like a powerful cultivator. Jiang Hao didn't think he was any match for her in a fight. "Do you want to know who I am? I'm the little spirit of the mining cave. You can call me Little Mai. Please don't disturb me while I'm mining," Jiang Hao said calmly. Since she couldn't really attack him physically, she would use all the charms at her disposal. For him, this wasn't a big deal. Clang, clang. The charm goddess looked at Jiang Hao, who continued mining. She sensed that everyone who came into the mine had an extremely firm mind. She had encountered another miner last time. Although that person seemed infatuated with her, he eventually left at the last moment. He thanked her for her help over the past year and left. After that, his cultivation realm had risen in one fell sweep. At that moment, she was enraged at being used. She vowed that she would make him beg for forgiveness after she left this mine. She had used others, but that person had dared to use her for his gain. But now, the situation was different. The person before her didn't even spare her a glance. His entire focus was on mining. It wasn't that he pretended not to see her, but that he genuinely didn't care about her. Was it because she wasn't good enough, or had people in the cultivation world changed? "Aren't you tired from mining?" asked the charm goddess. He didn't respond. "I know where the good things are hidden. Do you want my help?" she asked again. Still, there was no response. She didn't talk to him after that but followed him silently. Jiang Hao ignored the charm goddess and continued mining. If she got too noisy, he would take out his saber and shut her up. "It's going to be daylight soon. You need to leave." Jiang Hao glanced at her. She reminded him of Yun Ruo. He wasn't surprised that so many people sought to avenge her. Even people at Golden Core Realm were ready to sacrifice their future and avenge her at all costs. Senior Sister Yunruo must have been truly powerful to use her charms in such a way that people were willing to give up everything for her. This charm goddess was no exception. Can you do me a favor? Jiang Hao looked at the charm goddess. What is it? I don't necessarily help strangers, but I might consider it, she said. Whoosh. Suddenly, a beam of moonlight flashed by. The blade severed the charm goddess' head. You're disturbing me. Just keep your mouth shut. The charm goddess was stunned. I was being sincere. After leaving the mining cave, Jiang Hao stored the ores in the warehouse. The appearance of the charm goddess had indeed affected his mining. Everything she did and said carried a charm technique. Born with a bewitching body and innate charm techniques, he would have to avoid her at all costs. If it wasn't for the poison inside him, it would have been dangerous. However, one thing was certain, cutting off her head didn't deal her a fatal blow. If she were to appear before him again, he would have to use other methods. Hello, fellow disciple, someone said from behind him. He turned around to see two people in the Foundation establishment realm. One was a man and the other one was a woman. Their attire was different. They must have allied temporarily. What's the matter? Jiang Hao asked. I found a mining spot. Would you like to cooperate with us? The man asked with a smile. It's similar to the cave here. You can continue mining while we search for spirit herbs. We will continue to cultivate and allocate the resources fairly, the woman said. Chapter 293, Chapter 293, I hate you. Chapter 293, I hate you. Jiang Hao observed the two people. The man was slightly plump, and he held his hand in a manner that suggested he could release spells at any moment. The hand gestures indicated that he used standard offensive spells. The woman was dressed in a robe with patterns for defensive powers and speed. At the moment, she seemed fully prepared to deal with any danger. I don't think there's anything wrong with mining here, Jiang Hao said. I'm fine here. In that case, I must attack you. It's a pity. We lack a partner like you, said the man, Ding Yu, as he prepared to attack. Boom. A fireball fell in front of Ding Yu. Shortly after, 3 people arrived flying on their swords. It was Ji Yu Wen and the others. We don't have any ill intentions. Ding Yu and the woman stepped back. I believe you. Why don't you leave now? Ji Yu Wen smiled. We'll take our leave then. Ding Yu and the woman quickly left. Everyone here was strong, and they were all in the same cultivation realm. They were cautious about engaging in a fight, as no one knew how it would turn out. Therefore, it was unnecessary, and everyone exercised restraint. However, no one was willing to give up easily. Jiang Hao was still in a daze. He had intended to launch a counterattack so that the one attacking him would know that he wasn't really a Foundation establishment realm cultivator. That way, they wouldn't have returned to attack him again. Then, he could inquire about the newly discovered mine and resolve things easily. The corpse realm would only remain open for another half a year or a year, at most. No one knew if this mine would remain available till then. Moreover, it was better to avoid the territory of the charm goddess. Disciple Jiang, are you alright? Ji Yu Wen asked. I'm fine, Jiang Hao said. With so many things on display, it's easy to attract attention here. Murong Qingqing pointed to the pile of ores. Jiang Hao knew that. However, he had done that so that his 3 companions would be at ease. How about this? We'll sell them and divide the spirit stones equally among the 4 of us. The same goes for the spirit herbs. Ji Yu Wen looked at Jiang Hao. What do you think? Jiang Hao looked at the spirit herbs and nodded. All right. Not every mine was valuable, but the spirit herbs here were indeed worth a lot. Besides, with these 3 helping to sell them, it was much better than him doing it himself. The best course of action was to sell them for spirit stones. Otherwise, he would have to wait until he returned to sell them, which would expose the fact that he had earned a large sum of money. That might bring another set of troubles. It was better to deal with it here. They took out the spirit herbs. At present, there were more than 20 spirit herbs. Jiang Hao recognized some of them. Their value should be high, especially because they gave off bubbles. If a particular spirit herb could consistently produce blue bubbles, it would undoubtedly be incredibly valuable. In front of another cave, Ding Yu frowned. If we leave the spirit herbs here unattended, they might wither. Moreover, there's no one mining in the mine here. Even if they found someone at the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm, the person might run away after they left. They needed someone to mine in the cave. What should we do then? That person won't come with us, and the other three are at the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm, Xia Dong said. Let's find a way to cooperate. I think it's possible, said Ding Yu. Xia Dong frowned. How do we cooperate? We hand over all the spirit herbs to that person, and then we divide the profits equally. The same goes for the ores, Ding Yu said. Will they agree to that? We aren't sure how they distribute their profits, said Xia Dong. Ding Yu thought for a moment. It's highly likely that they'll agree to an equal split. We attempted to recruit them, so it means that we've increased our value. If those three aren't fools, they won't have any intention to refuse us. Also, we didn't suffer any losses. After all, we brought spirit herbs and a new mine into the equation. Having more people will be beneficial for the future. Golden Core Realm cultivators might be arriving in this area soon. The only thing I'm worried about is the mine. I heard it's not an ordinary one, and someone might keep an eye on it. What's special about that mine? Xia Dong asked curiously. It's hard to say, but one of my senior sisters went in before. 10 days later, she left and didn't dare to get close again. She warned me not to enter. Even if I do enter, she told me not to linger there. If your mental strength isn't firm enough, you might fall into the trap, Ding Yu said. But that person has been mining there for a long time. Xia Dong was puzzled. His mind may be very firm, but it's also possible that he has already fallen into the trap. I asked him if he wanted to leave as a way to test him. Ding Yu sighed. Unfortunately, I couldn't get an answer. However, he does seem to have been mining there for a long time. If we go over and join them, it won't be a bad thing. 3 days later, Jiang Hao noticed that there were suddenly many more spirit herbs. He realized that there were 2 additional partners in their group. Those were the 2 people from before. Ji Yu when explained to him that they wanted to join their group and share the profits equally. Jiang Hao didn't refuse this arrangement. The more spirit herbs, the better. During these 2 days, he hadn't seen the charm goddess anywhere. Everything was relatively quiet. On the 7th day, she appeared again. It seems if I don't look for you, you won't look for me at all, said a resentful voice. Jiang Hao sensed magic in those words, as though they were trying to persuade him to care about her. Is this a charm technique? Fortunately, he didn't feel anything even after hearing those words. Do you think my clothes are too revealing? I'll wear more clothes next time, the charm goddess said in a soft voice when she noticed Jiang Hao's indifference. What is the danger in this cave? Jiang Hao asked. I don't know, but, before the charm goddess could continue, her head was sliced off by a single sword strike. She glared angrily at Jiang Hao. Can't you let me finish speaking? I don't know, but if you're curious, I can find out for you. I hate you. After that, the charm goddess disappeared from the spot. Jiang Hao paid no attention to her and continued mining. At the myriad stone forest, the heavenly steely mountain stood tall. A man who appeared to be in his late 20s was contemplating a stone tablet. After a while, he opened his eyes and looked into the distance. It's almost time. It's almost time. After preparing for so many years, I've finally returned to this place. Little Mai, wait for me to find you. This time, I'll take you out of here. You belong to me. His desire was clear in his eyes. Unfortunately, this body is too weak. Even with all my strength, it's only at the peak of the primordial spirit realm. I need more power. If I successfully comprehend the divine ability from this stone tablet, I'll have more hope. Many people want to get to you, but nobody is quicker than I am. Taking you out of here is difficult, but I have thought of a way. This time, I'll have you completely. Ha ha ha. Chapter 294, Getting Rich. Chapter 294, Getting Rich. 1 month after entering the corpse realm, Jiang Hao felt that the bubbles were appearing slower than usual in the mines. By now, there were a total of 9 bubbles. On average, he was only adding 4 or 5 points each time to his cultivation. At this rate, it would take him a year to advance. But stability was valuable. Besides, being able to advance in just over a year wasn't such a bad thing. He could sell the ore's mind in exchange for spirit stones. With those spirit stones, he could find a way to buy a special spirit herb that would give him more bubbles. He could talk to Lian Daoji about it. If he had any high-quality seeds, Jiang Hao could help him cultivate those. If he had enough spirit stones, he had endless opportunities. He could even activate the bloodline of the spirit beast once again, and it might cough another golden bubble. Clang! Clang! As Jiang Hao was mining in the cave, he unearthed a large ore. As the ore hit the ground, a bubble appeared. Just as it emerged, a purple light flashed. Huh! A purple bubble? The sudden appearance of a purple bubble surprised him. He looked at the ore. The ore was as thick as a person's arm and of knee length. Is this just a random drop or a special ore? He cleared the area around the ore to examine it more carefully. As he cleared the debris away, he noticed that the actual ore was only half the size. The color of the ore changed. It was bright green. As he continued to clean it, it turned into a translucent emerald, green chunk of rock. A green light could be seen inside the ore. The light was full of vitality. What kind of ore is this? Jiang Hao didn't recognize the ore, but he knew it must be incredibly valuable. It's a pity it can't be used on a saber. Otherwise, it would have been useful to me. Maybe I can sell it. He couldn't take this ore back with him. He had to sell it here. However, there was a problem. Did the disciples here have that many spirit stones? Jiang Hao didn't think they would have many spirit stones. Perhaps they would have only a few thousand spirit stones or even less. Should he find a golden core realm cultivator or a primordial spirit realm cultivator? Golden core realm cultivators wouldn't have too many spirit stones. As for primordial spirit realm cultivators, it was hard to say. If everyone is as poor as I am, then even primordial spirit realm cultivators probably might not have much either. Jiang Hao put away the ore and sighed. He continued to mine. He mostly got white bubbles. Jiang Hao was quite satisfied with it. He could clearly feel his strength and spirit getting stronger. He wouldn't mind mining for 100 years if necessary. Whenever he felt a sense of danger, he retreated with the ores. He was very curious about the danger in the mines, but he didn't dare to explore it. He could only follow the rules. When he left the mine, he saw Ji Yu when waiting for him. Fellow disciple, we sold a lot of things and earned a lot. How much did we get? Jiang Hao saw that the ores were fewer than before. We divided everything equally among us. This is your share. Ji Yu when handed him some spirit stones. There were a total of 3,676 spirit stones. So many. Their gains had to be split among 6 people, which meant they had earned about 20,000 spirit stones. How was that possible? It couldn't be right. Ores were cheap. Ji Yu when seemed to have seen through Jiang Hao's doubts. Actually, ores are quite cheap, but there's one that's relatively rare called green surging heart. Those are quite expensive. Jiang Hao nodded. He remembered the green ore he just obtained. I actually just found a greenish-looking ore. Jiang Hao wasn't worried about the others cheating him off of spirit stones. He believed that they wouldn't be too stingy. Oh! Ji Yu when was surprised. What did it look like? At this moment, the others walked over, seemingly interested in the new ore. Jiang Hao took out the ore. Everyone was astonished to see it. Zhuge Zheng's eyes widened. Can I buy this ore from you? He looked at the others, as if wary that someone might try to snatch it from him. An innate trace of sword intent, Ji Yu when was also amazed. Although a trace of sword intent isn't much, for certain people, it's a rare find. No price is too high for it. But we have a relatively low cultivation level, and if we set a high price, no one will buy it. Instead, others will try to snatch it away. So, I think you should set a reasonable price. How about 36,000 spirit stones? 36,000? Zhuge Jing frowned. Jiang Hao was also surprised. 36,000 isn't too high, right? Besides, if we split it evenly, you only need to pay 30,000, Ding Yu said. I don't have that many spirit stones. 7. H11 of Zheng said I can magic treasures as collateral. If I get more spirit stones later, I can redeem them. Jiang Hao was speechless. He had just earned almost 4,000 spirit stones. Were disciples of major sects really poor like him? He thought having more than 2,000 spirit stones was not bad. Then just pay what you have, Jiang Hao said. He didn't want the magical treasures. It would be hard to sell them. Finally, Zhuge Zheng brought out 4 magical treasures as collateral. Jiang Hao received 5,000 spirit stones and a jade pendant. This is my sect's jade pendant. If I don't pay you the remaining spirit stones, you can take the pendant to my sect to exchange it for 1,000 spirit stones or even more. In short, you won't suffer a loss, Zhuge Zheng said. Sword. Jiang Hao looked at the word sword written on the jade pendant. This pendant was indeed extraordinary. Even as a late-stage primordial spirit realm cultivator, he felt its weight. The Northern Immortal Sect. The Mountain Sea Sword Sect, where the sword gives birth to one lifeblood and millions of sword immortals illuminate the mountains and seas. Ji Yu Wen admired him. Jiang Hao felt helpless. Of all the places in the world, the sect had to be in the north. He wouldn't set foot in the northern region because the Divine Corpse sect hated him. He could only wait for an opportunity in the future. He was more willing to go to the east instead. The Clear Sky School and the Bright Moon sect were in the east. He had only seen the mention of the Mountain Sea Sword sect in the Mountain and Sea Chronicles. Is the Mountain Sea Sword sect really formidable? Murong Qingqing asked. Jiang Hao had also wanted to ask that. Formidable? Ding Yu smiled. All the sects are. The Mountain Sea Sword sect is on par with the Clear Sky School, although its ranking is not as high as the Clear Sky School. Jiang Hao was stunned. Jiang Hao, who had planned to go check on the spirit herbs, felt strange. He looked into the distance. Here it comes. The summons. Chapter 295, Chapter 295, Faster and Stronger Than Me. Chapter 295, Faster and Stronger Than Me. Here it comes again. It came once a month now. Jiang Hao sensed that this time it was just the summoning, and it didn't show him a path. But he could feel that the location seemed to be somewhere other than the myriad stone forest. It should be somewhere else this time. I wonder if it's the same thing that is summoning me from before. He looked at the people around him. They all looked calm. Is it that they didn't hear the summons, or are they just good at pretending? Jiang Hao shook his head and didn't pay any attention to the summons. He continued to tend to the spirit herbs. It was a good way to improve his cultivation and earn spirit stones at the same time. Myriad Stone Forest. Heavenly Steely Mountain. Yun Qi looked at the stone tablet in confusion. Is the time? Yes, it's almost time. We should leave. Lan Qian nodded. We'll wait for the next appearance. We don't know where it will be exactly, but it should reappear within the next month. It will appear at least 6 times within a year. What can you comprehend in just 1 month? Yun Qi asked. That's just how it is with the Heavenly Steely Mountain. If you can't comprehend it within a month, you can abandon the current stone tablet. If you don't, it will be replaced by something else, Lan Qian said. What if I don't leave? Yun Qi asked. I don't know. Fairy Lan Qian shook her head. All I know is that those who didn't leave have never appeared again after Heavenly Steely Mountain disappeared for half a month. No one knows where they went. Whoosh. Suddenly, the stone tablet emitted a faint light. It's happening again, Yun Qi said and looked at the woman beside him. It's another summoning. Lan Qian frowned. The fact that it's summoning again after such a long time means that the person it's calling for hasn't arrived yet. And the fact that it summoned the person before it disappeared means the next location has already been determined. The person who received the summoning most likely knows the location already. If such a person enters Heavenly Steely Mountain, will it cause any unusual phenomena? Yun Qi asked. In theory, it shouldn't, Lan Qian thought for a moment. Only if they comprehend something extraordinary will it attract the attention of the heavenly steely mountain. But it's just that such people are more likely to comprehend things more easily. The two then walked out of heavenly steely mountain. As they descended, a man who looked about 27 or 28 years old passed by them without even glancing at them. Yun Qi turned to look in surprise. That person looks very strange. Lan Qian turned to glance at him. His peak primordial spirit realm fluctuates. What's strange about that? The body isn't his. He has taken possession of it and his soul is extremely strong, Yun Qi said. Lan Qian furrowed her brows but didn't speak. Let's go, senior sister. Let's go elsewhere and then look for heavenly steely mountain. In case that genius appears, we can witness their greatness together, Yun Qi said. The two left heavenly steely mountain. After a little while, heavenly steely mountain gradually disappeared, as if it had never existed in the first place. At this moment, the man smiled and looked into the distance. With one step, he leaped far ahead. He had the power to shrink space. With this magical power, I find Little Mai even faster and take her away from here. Blood-tide forest, here I come. No one can stop me. He disappeared from where he stood. It wouldn't be long before he arrived at the blood-tide forest. Have you ever thought that the person you don't want to bother with might be the most beautiful person in the world? Jiang Hao paused and looked behind at the charm goddess. Did you finally notice my beauty? But I'm mad at you now. If you don't persuade me, I won't forgive you. Clang. Jiang Hao had already drawn his half-moon blade. Moonlight flashed. The blade beheaded the charm goddess. If it weren't for the occasional rare ores, he would have gone somewhere else to mine. There were indeed ores in the cave Dingyu had mentioned, but the situation there seemed uncertain. And the quality of the ores there was just average. No one cares about you except me, but you treat me this way. The charm goddess was furious. She disappeared from sight. Jiang Hao was unaffected by her antics. Sometimes he couldn't tell whether his indifference was actually caused by the heaven extinction Jiyu poison or if he had always been like this. However, one thing was certain. Mining was more important to him than the charm goddess. 7 days later, Jiang Hao found that all the ores had been successfully sold. Unfortunately, this time he only received 1,500 spirit stones. So far, he had a total of over 11,000 spirit stones. In just over a month, he had made a fortune. If it continued like this, he could earn more than what he could earn in several years outside. However, he noticed that Jiyu Wen and the others had started fighting with others. It seemed that everyone had gained some opportunities. Zhuge Zheng seemed to have obtained the opportunity in advance and was currently absorbing the wisp of sword intent. The others were not too happy about that. Because once absorbed, Zhuge Zheng might advance to the Gold Core realm. They were all at the Foundation Establishment realm, but he would soon advance to Golden Core realm. It didn't sit well with them. So, the other four decided to do something to stop him. Jiang Hao didn't care. He had his spirit stones. That's all that mattered to him. But soon, there was bad news. It's not so easy now. Jiyu Wen sighed. Everyone who enters either doesn't bring many spirit stones or doesn't have enough to begin with. Unless we exchange items or treasures with the ores and spirit herbs, we won't earn much. Or, we might need to find more people. What do you all think? Jiyu Wen asked. Spirit stones or item exchanges are fine. As time goes on, Gold Core realm cultivators will definitely come here. We should avoid them, Dingyu said. We will be targeted for our spirit stones. We should hide. They will mostly give up on heavenly steely mountain in half a year. We still have some time, Zhuge Zheng said. Can't we find seniors from our own sects? Xia Dong asked. I think we can. I'll look for a senior above the Golden Core realm. Do you all agree to that? Asked Jiyu Wen. Xia Dong was silent. The seniors would be formidably strong. Something might go wrong. Jiang Hao suddenly frowned and looked into the distance. Someone was coming. Something terrifyingly strong. Judging from the fluctuation of spiritual energy, Probably something at the peak of the primordial spirit realm. Something stronger than me. Jiang Hao felt uneasy. Wasn't it supposed to be a gold core realm cultivator? How did someone in the peak of the primordial spirit realm appear all of a sudden? Jiang Hao was shocked. That was definitely not an ordinary body technique. Even his light and dust technique might be inferior in comparison. It seemed that he still had to comprehend the light and dust technique further if he wanted to have an advantage. As soon as he appeared, his cultivation and technique were suppressed. As expected, there was no place safer than his sect. Chapter 296, Chapter 296, Beat him up for me. Chapter 296, Beat him up for me. Jiang Hao looked at the person warily. The person showed no concern for the people around him and didn't pay any attention to them at all. Although his aura wasn't unleashed fully, it was still too much to bear for those at the Foundation Establishment realm. Ji Yu Wen and the others looked at the newcomer with worry. "Greetings, Senior," Ji Yu Wen said. "Is there anything we can do for you? Is he looking at the mine?" Jiang Hao noticed that the person had been staring at the mine with obvious desire. Jiang Hao guessed that he might have come for the charm goddess. He used the daily appraisal ability on him. Jiang Hao discovered that although the person was at the peak of the primordial spirit realm, there was something strange about him. Jiang Hao was speechless. As expected, the person was here for the charm goddess. Jiang Hao couldn't understand. Was it really necessary to go this far for a woman? There were many beautiful women in this world, each with different personalities and traits. Why must he fixate on the charm goddess to this extent? Was a charm technique affecting his sanity? Maybe I'll never understand the feeling, Jiang Hao sighed. Firstly, because of the heaven extinction Jiu poison, he wasn't affected by charm techniques. Secondly, he was solely focused on improving his cultivation. He didn't want to get involved in romantic affairs, let alone find a partner. These things would only become a burden in the long run. "Are you mining here?" Shongan asked as he glanced at the ores. "Yes." "Do you need some ores, Senior?" asked Ji Yu Wen politely. "We can give them all to you." The others didn't speak. The person seemed to be at the peak of the primordial spirit realm, but his spiritual energy far exceeded that level. No one wanted to offend him. The person had specifically come for the charm goddess. He wouldn't waste time chasing Jiang Hao. "Who entered the mine?" Shongan asked. Ji Yu Wen fell silent. "Me," Jiang Hao said. Shongan looked at him. "Did you see anything inside?" "Yes." Jiang Hao nodded. "What did you see?" "A woman," Jiang Hao said truthfully. Ji Yu Wen and the others were surprised. They didn't know about this. "All right. Stop talking." Shongan looked excited. Jiang Hao didn't understand why he was behaving that way. After a while, Shongan said, "When do you enter the mine?" "At night," Jiang Hao said. "I'll go in with you tonight," Shongan said. After that, he sat down on the ground and waited. His gaze was fixed on the entrance of the cave. Jiang Hao looked at the others. They didn't say anything else. As for the woman Jiang Hao had mentioned, they didn't ask about it further. But they did remember their seniors warning them about entering the mine. Perhaps it was because of this. In the evening, the danger in the mine began to dissipate. Jiang Hao stood at the entrance. "It's safe to enter now," Shongan said. Jiang Hao nodded and walked inside. Shongan followed him. The others exchanged curious glances and began to retreat. After a while, they gathered together. "What do you all think?" Ji Yu Wen asked. "Who is the woman?" Murong Qingqing asked. "This powerful cultivator came for her. Could it be that Jiang Hao is also mining because of her?" Xia Dong asked. "My senior sister once said that it's easy to fall into temptation once inside. Have they all fallen for her?" Ding Yu was puzzled. "It seems that my senior brother broke through after half a year of mining. It's highly possible that he achieved enlightenment through his state of mind. However, we still don't know who the woman is and how many people will come for her. If we think about it carefully, this place is very dangerous." Ji Yu Wen expressed his concern. "Should we leave?" Zhuge Zheng asked. "We should see how the senior handles it." But we might become hostages. Now is the best opportunity to leave, Dingyu said. Are you all going to leave? Ji Wen asked the others. There was no response. I think it's best to have the freedom to come and go, but let's agree in advance that we won't take anything with us. You're not leaving? Zhuge Zheng asked. Of course not. With any luck, I can make a fortune here and return to the sect with plenty of spirit stones. It will be much more convenient, Ji Wen said with a smile. This statement left everyone stunned. They couldn't even refute it. Indeed, in just a month, they had obtained 10,000 spirit stones. What does 10,000 spirit stones a month mean? Even if they continuously performed tasks, it would have taken them so long to collect that many spirit stones. Zhuge Zheng also understood that his magical treasures were provided by his family, but spirit stones were always scarce. Even with 5,000 spirit stones per month, they could have everything they ever wanted. I'll stay too, Dingyu said. He wasn't enticed by the spirit stones but had his own reasons. I'm leaving, Zhuge Zheng said. The others understood that Zhuge Zheng was about to ascend to the Gold Core realm. There was no need to take the risk. Murong Qingqing was drawing something with a branch, but it broke. I'll stay too, she said. I'll stay as well, Xia Dong said. Inside the mine, Jiang Hao walked ahead. Senior, have you been here before? I have. Shong'an nodded. At a three-way intersection, Jiang Hao went left. To the left. Shong'an frowned. Shouldn't you be mining on the right side? Why should I mine on the right side? Jiang Hao asked. Didn't you see little Mai? Shong'an didn't understand. Didn't she ask you to mine on the right side? I just came here to mine, Jiang Hao said. It didn't matter where I do the mining. That puzzled Shong. And you don't like little Mai? Why should I like her? Jiang Hao asked. Little Mai is so good. There are more beautiful people in this world, and there are people with better personalities. Why should I like her? Jiang Hao asked. Because none of those people like you, Shong'an said. Jiang Hao was speechless. He didn't understand Shong'an at all. I came here to take little Mai out of here and keep her by my side forever, Shong'an said. Senior, have you ever thought that she might go to find other powerful cultivators? Jiang Hao asked. Shong'an fell silent. After a while, Jiang Hao arrived at the spot and began to mine. In the middle of the night, the familiar fragrance appeared, and Shong'an became alert. Little Mai appeared out of thin air. She was dressed in robes today. It covered her entire body, which pleased Shong'an. Little Mai? He called out in surprise. The charm goddess looked at Shong'an in confusion. It's me. Shong'an. Shong'an. The charm goddess approached Shong'an and touched his face. How did you become like this? I didn't even recognize you. Is it really you? The charm goddess grabbed Shong'an's hand and pressed it against her chest. Shong'an blushed. There is someone else here. Oh, he doesn't like me at all. I like him so much, but he doesn't pay attention to me. Shong'an, can you beat him up for me? The charm goddess asked miserably. Chapter 297, Chapter 297, Humble. Chapter 297, Humble. Jiang Hao froze and looked warily at Shong'an. He started to communicate with the golden ring. The other person wouldn't really give him enough time to escape. Why? Shong'an looked a bit hesitant. I feel that this fellow disciple is quite decent. All right. I'll listen to you and spare him, said the charm goddess. Shong'an, why did you come here? Do you miss me? I came to rescue you. This time, I am well prepared and can take you out of here, Shong'an said. But if I go out, I will definitely find other men. Will you be jealous if I do that? I might also fall in love with them, but I will definitely like you more than anyone else, Shong'an, said the charm goddess. So, maybe you shouldn't rescue me. Just come and visit me whenever you want to. It's hard for me to come here, said Shong'an. I will save you, and then you can do whatever you want. I really like you, Shong'an. The charm goddess hugged Shong'an. After we get out of here, I will give birth to a son for you, and then a daughter. If it's not yours, I don't want it. Jiang Hao was speechless. He was surprised by Shong'en's reaction. He didn't listen to the charm goddess and avoided a fight with him. What surprised him was that Shong'en acted so humbly. Did he need to stoop so low? With his cultivation, he could find anyone he wanted. It made Jiang Hao frustrated. He couldn't bear to see Shong'en being treated that way. He sighed and continued to mine. He couldn't get involved in other people's affairs. Later, they left that place and went in different directions. Jiang Hao was happy to have some peace and quiet. He felt the familiar sense of danger and stopped mining. The time passed so quickly that I didn't even notice it. Jiang Hao walked out with the oars. At the fork in the road, he met Shong'en. Shong'en looked overjoyed. "Senior." Jiang Hao respectfully greeted him. "Just call me Shong'an." Shong'an smiled. "I'm Jiang Hao." Then the two walked outside the cave together. When they came out, they noticed that one person was missing. According to Ji Yuwen, Zhuge Zheng had left to focus on breaking through to the Gold Core realm. "How about I join your group? I can help with mining," said Shong'an. "I am okay with however you are distributing your gains." Ji Yuwen was pleasantly surprised. "How could that be? Senior, your aura protects us from the nearby riffraff. Your share should be more. What do you all think?" The others had no objections, but Jiang Hao was a little unhappy. However, when he saw that Shong'an had brought out more ores than him, he readily agreed. With the charm goddess' help, perhaps he could dig up something valuable. For the next month, they continued mining. At first, the charm goddess didn't appear before them, but she started showing up in the second half of the night. This made Jiang Hao frown. "Do you feel neglected? I can accompany you to mine now. Would you like to praise me a little?" Clang. The charm goddess' head flew off. If Shong'en was present, Jiang Hao couldn't make a move. How dare she come to disturb him again? Jiang Hao continued mining. His gains had been quite good. In the past 3 weeks, he had already obtained 8 blue bubbles. He might have a chance to obtain 2 more blue bubbles. In the early morning, he felt the danger and retreated. At this moment, he saw Shong'en sitting in front of the spirit field. He had come out of the cave early. "Senior, why did you come out so early?" Jiang Hao asked. "When Little Mai went to find you, I came out," Shong'en said. "Why did you agree to it?" Jiang Hao was puzzled. Shong'en fell silent. "Do you look down on me? Do you think I'm so infatuated with her that I would agree to anything, no matter how low it might be?" "No." Jiang Hao shook his head. He didn't want to quarrel with Shong'en. "You might not understand. She is the only person in my life who truly cares for me," Shong'en said sadly. "My current appearance is not my true self. The real me was very ugly. I was born in a mountainous village. I was bitten by venomous creatures, and my body exuded a foul odor. My appearance was unbearable. Later, I was taken away by the 10,000 Poison sect, and that was when I began my cultivation path." Jiang Hao was surprised to hear that. Shong'en took a deep breath. "Because I was born close to venomous creatures, my cultivation progress was rapid. But my appearance and body had already been corroded by poison, and it was difficult to reverse the effect. Even if I achieved great progress in cultivation, I still looked hideous. I sought other women. They didn't refuse me, but I could see that they were disgusted by me. Even if they concealed it well, I could still sense it. For so many years, I didn't dare to get close to women at all. I was afraid my twisted character would make me harm them. I have this tendency in my character that I don't want to be that person anymore. Then I met Little Mai. She wasn't disgusted by me. She only held curiosity and affection toward me. You can't understand that feeling. It's the feeling of being loved for the first time in this life. I couldn't forget her. I wanted Little Mai to be mine. My desires drive me. I want to be ahead of others and have her forever for myself, even if it means I have to make sacrifices. You might not understand it." Jiang Hao fell silent. He sat down next to Shong'en. "Indeed, I can't understand. I'm wholeheartedly focused on becoming stronger. I don't want to be influenced by such emotions." Shong'en smiled. Cultivation is also about satisfying one's desires. Every cultivator desires longevity and strength. It's just that my desires are a bit different from theirs. If little Mai dies, what will you do? Jiang Hao asked. He recalled another Golden Core Realm cultivator who had died to avenge senior sister Yun Ruo. Shong'an shook his head. Jiang Hao didn't say anything more. He thought that there might definitely be someone who might want to kill the charm goddess. She didn't know how to restrain her desires at all. After that, Jiang Hao began to take care of the spirit herbs. There were more spirit herbs than before. If they could sell all of them, they might earn thousands of spirit stones. He wondered how much profit he would make this month. Boom! Suddenly, there was a rumble from ahead. Soon, Ji Wen and Ding Yu returned. They were returned. What happened? Shong'an asked. A gold core realm cultivator appeared and tried to take our ores, Ji Wen said. Soon, the gold core realm cultivator caught up with them. He saw Shong'an and hesitated. Then, he fled. Shong'an reached out, and the opponent activated a defensive treasure. In an instant, a powerful defense emerged, and the space started to distort. He wanted to teleport away. Bang! After Shong'an shattered the defense, the opponent was shaken by the aftermath. He spat out blood and disappeared on the spot. Jiang Hao frowned. Shong'an had held back. It seemed he didn't want to engage with the other party. Jiang Hao didn't mind. As far as anyone knew, he was only at the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm. He didn't want to get into trouble. What he cared about was how much profit he would make this time. However, before anyone else could speak, he felt the summons once again. It just wouldn't end. Soon after, he saw a passage. If he responded, he could instantly take the path. Jiang Hao was speechless. Chapter 298. Chapter 298. Will Heavenly Steely Mountain appear here? Chapter 298. Will Heavenly Steely Mountain appear here? At the edge of the blood-tide forest, a man in robes appeared from a spatial vortex. He was coughing up blood and his face was pale. The aftermath of the attack from someone in the peak of the primordial spirit realm had injured him severely. Yi Dong. How could he be here? Bu Hai Cheng leaned against a tree. He quickly took out a spiritual pill and swallowed it. If he didn't act fast after suffering such a blow, he might be stuck here forever. Bu Hai Cheng knew well that he would undoubtedly die if Yi Dong found him. He had just advanced to the Golden Core realm, and he didn't expect to encounter someone in the peak of the primordial spirit realm. Why would he be here? What is he doing here? Is it also for that mine? Does he know what's inside? Bu Hai Cheng found it hard to believe that. Why would Yi Dong come here alone? At that moment, a ray of light flashed from his waist. Without hesitation, Bu Hai Cheng activated the jade pendant hanging from his waist. How is it going on your side, junior brother Bu? A voice came from the jade pendant. Bu Hai Cheng coughed painfully. I should have found the mine. There's the green surging heart or vein inside. Green surging heart or? Then it's probably true. We're almost there. We'll be able to get there in a few days, said the voice from the jade pendant. But there's a problem, said Bu Hai Cheng weakly. After advancing to the Golden Core realm, I planned to go there and investigate, but I found Yi Dong there. It seems like he's also interested in that mine. Yi Dong. How did he come here? Did you manage to escape? Said the voice from the jade pendant. By luck, Bu Hai Cheng said. All right, I'll arrange for someone to assist you. Although dealing with Yi Dong may be troublesome, he's not a concern as long as there are no other primordial spirit realm experts nearby. We need to act quickly to avoid any complications. Yi Dong's sudden appearance in the Foundation establishment region indicates that there's something important drawing him away from Heavenly Steely Mountain. There must be something we don't know, and we near to Darast, saw a Tneen voice from Tneen Japanant. By the way, I heard some rumors before coming in, Bu Hai Cheng said. They say someone wants to trap Yi Dong in the corpse realm. Now that he's here, he will undoubtedly attract even stronger opponents. That's indeed troublesome. It seems we need to find some more people, but first, we should know who's there. Maybe we can gather some information from their side, said the voice from the jade pendant. That's easy, I heard about it before entering the corpse realm. They're selling ores, so we can inquire about the situation, Bu Hai Cheng said. Alright, wait for 2 days, and I'll send some people over to join you, the voice from the jade pendant said. The light from the pendant dimmed. Bu Hai Cheng leaned against the tree and gazed up at the sky as if pondering something. Suddenly, he became excited. I remember when I was scanning the area, I saw someone in the later Foundation establishment realm. Let's see if we can ascertain their origin and perhaps try to communicate with them. In the place where Yi Dong is, the other weaker cultivators are like prisoners, so we might be able to use them. If not, we'll have to think carefully before taking any action, as we might scare away the snake before catching it. Jiang Hao looked into the distance, where the 3 elements array of the corpse realm seemed to be. If he took a step forward, he would arrive at the summoning location. However, it made him feel like he was walking into a trap. So, he ignored it once again. No matter what it was, he didn't think it would be any good. Even if it was a great opportunity, he couldn't risk it. He had the Hong Meng Heart Sutra for his cultivation technique, the primordial heavenly sword for his magical treasure, along with the 9 golden rings, and his divine abilities. He also had sealing techniques like the universe in a palm and the 7-star sealing technique. Moreover, he had a movement technique like the light and dust technique. He knew a total of 3 forms from the 7 forms of Heavenly Blade. He knew how to be stealthy from the Nameless Manual. Jiang Hao didn't lack anything. If he needed something else, he could still obtain it in the future. The Hong Meng Heart Sutra had follow-up techniques, and divine abilities and magical treasures can be added after. It wasn't necessary for him to seek dangerous adventures right now. He was doing fine in the Foundation establishment region. He was becoming stronger and earning spirit stones. One could say that this was his greatest opportunity. Afterward, he stopped thinking and began tending to the spirit herbs. 2 people had left, so he was roughly certain about this month's earnings. In the evening, Xia Dong and Murong Qingqing returned. They sat together to calculate the total earnings. In the end, Jiang Hao received 2,160 spirit stones, which was a bit less compared to what he had gotten before. Mainly because there weren't many buyers. We sold at a very low price, but they still ran out of spirit stones. We need to find more people, Ji Yuwen said helplessly. Indeed, there aren't many spirit stones in the Foundation establishment region. If many golden core realm cultivators enter the corpse realm, it will be easier. If they aren't here to seize the Foundation establishment region's opportunities, we can try to trade with them, Ding Yu said. But why would golden core realm cultivators come here? Murong Qingqing asked. If there's something extraordinary here, it might attract them, Xia Dong said. Something extraordinary? Ji Yuwen suddenly thought of something. There is one thing extraordinary here. What is it? Jiang Hao asked. Heavenly Steely Mountain, Ji Yuwen said jokingly. Heavenly Steely Mountain can move, so if it comes to the Blood-Tide Forest, nearby gold core realm cultivators will definitely come here. Then, we can easily sell things. Why don't we go up to Heavenly Steely Mountain ourselves? Murong Qingqing asked. We can go there and extract ores at the same time, Ding Yu said. Don't daydream. Let's be realistic. I've never heard of Heavenly Steely Mountain appearing at the Blood-Tide Forest, Xia Dong said. They all smiled. It was just a casual remark. Everyone knew it was impossible. Jiang Hao sighed. This was getting troublesome. It was indeed possible to take the ores with them and sell them, but it might attract unnecessary attention. If some seniors asked for the spirit stones to borrow, would they be able to refuse? Jiang Hao realized that mining in the corpse realm was very profitable. He didn't know if he would have the chance to come here again. Take your time. There's no rush, Shongan said. If it doesn't work, we can just sell the ores here slowly. Jiang Hao looked at Shongan. Yuanshan cultivators should have plenty of spiritual stones. If he could give Shong and Daoist the batch of mines he was allocated, would that work? Is that possible? Sure, Shongan said. But we might need to lower the price. Of course, We might not sell them all in the end. I don't have many spirit stones, either. Ji Wen was speechless. He's really easy to talk to. Jiang Hao was also surprised. With the earnings secured, he felt relieved. He could continue mining. After dark, he went inside the mine with Shong'an. Do you have any knowledge about the dangers here, senior? Jiang Hao asked. Aside from him, there was one person whose speed of advancement was astonishing. That was Liu Xingchen. When he first met Liu Xingchen, he was at the peak of the Golden Core realm. 6 years later, he was already in the middle stage of the primordial spirit realm. It was simply unbelievable. If he continued to consume souls in this manner, he would probably reach the peak stage of the primordial spirit realm in just a few years. He was truly worthy of being called a true disciple. 25 years old and at the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm? The first time I saw you, you were already at that stage. Does that mean you reached the Foundation Establishment realm a year or two ago? Are you really that talented? Asked Zhuang Yuzhen curiously. Jiang Hao shook his head. It's just because of some opportunities that I encountered. The only way is to voluntarily fall into decline, said Hai Luo with a sneer. If you have poor talent, you work hard and try to strive for success. And for what? Most things aren't changeable. You will remain where you always are. We strive to change our weak and short-lived selves. It's useless. Just submit to the heavens. Jiang Hao looked at him. Senior, have you ever thought that becoming stronger in cultivation might also be a means of hope given by the heaven you talk about? Hai Luo was momentarily stunned. He felt like Jiang Hao was mocking him. Zhuang Yuzhen looked at Jiang Hao. He felt that it wasn't just a coincidence that Jiang Hao was chosen to raise the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. Hai Luo recovered from his shock and glared at Jiang Hao. What a joke. You think a simple sentence can shake my determination? What does someone in the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm understand about life? Even if my cultivation has dropped to this level, I can still suppress you with one hand. If you dare, release me, and I'll crush you. Jiang Hao just stared at him without a word. That seemed to annoy Hai Luo. Why don't you come to consult with me? Do you look down on me? Do you know who I am? You should understand that I have a noble background and know many powerful individuals. I have connections. And who are you, senior? Jiang Hao asked. I come from the Heavenly River Sea region. I am one of the 12 heavenly kings of the sea region, and I command many powerful individuals. You can either call me Hai Luo, or the Heavenly King. I'm fine with both. Trash. Zhuang Yuzhen sneered. You bastard. Try saying that again, shouted Hai Luo. You, a mere primordial spirit realm cultivator, dare to challenge me? Release me, and I'll beat this old B***star to death. Ha ha ha, said Zhuang Yuzhen mockingly. Just wait a while. When you reach the Golden Core realm, I'll still be at the early stage of the primordial spirit realm. Just tell me if you can match me in a fight right now. Jiang Hao sighed. He was curious about the 12 heavenly kings. However, he had to prioritize learning about formations for now. Senior, can you be quiet for a while? I need to study formations, Jiang Hao said to Hai Luo. Huh? Hai Luo sneered. Kid, who do you think you are? Do you think you have the authority to ask me to be quiet? Are you even worthy? Jiang Hao was speechless. However, Hai Luo was right. After all, he was one of the 12 heavenly kings of the Heavenly River Sea region, while he was just an inner sect disciple of the Heavenly Note sect. He had no authority. He got up, smiled, and walked to the second cell. He beckoned to Hai Luo. Zhuang Yuzhen's face instantly turned pale. He knew that gesture. Every time Jiang Hao beckoned to him, he would drop a truth bomb. He was curious whether Hai Luo would feel the same. Is this extraordinary genius intentionally avoiding us? An extraordinary genius avoiding us? Yun Qi was quite surprised. Isn't Heavenly Steely Mountain said to be the core of all opportunities? How could someone avoid that? I don't know. Maybe something has delayed him, Lan Qian said. They proceeded forward. They didn't stop at the first stone tablet they encountered, nor did they stop at the second. How many stone tablets do you want to see? Lan Qian asked. Yunqi thought for a moment. The sixth one. What do you think about it? Senior sister? It's nothing special. The sixth stone monument doesn't have anything extraordinary. Lan Qian shook her head. In that case, we should go there. Sometimes, the lack of something extraordinary might be the most extraordinary thing, Yunqi said seriously. When they arrived at the sixth stone tablet, they stopped and stood before it. Is this the sixth stone tablet? Yunqi asked, looking at the plain-looking monument. The size and style of the stone tablet were ordinary. However, it didn't dampen Yunqi's interest. As he looked at the stone tablet, he saw an ordinary phrase written on it: calm your mind and spirit, and you will see heaven and earth. Give it a try. They say this stone tablet is relatively easy to comprehend something from, Lan Qian said calmly. Yunqi nodded. He closed his eyes and began to comprehend it. In an instant, he seemed to resonate with the stone tablet. Soon, he saw heaven and earth. He felt as if he were standing within the universe. And then, Yunqi waited for a long time. It might have been a day or a week. He couldn't tell. But that was all. He couldn't get anything more. Truly calm your mind and spirit, and you will see heaven and earth. Finally, he woke up. When he looked at the person beside him, he felt a special aura emanating from them. Then, Lan Qian opened her eyes. Her eyes had some text flowing within them. Senior sister, did you comprehend it too? Yunqi was astonished. Almost. By refining it here for a while, I should be able to fully comprehend its contents, Lan Qian said calmly. How? Yunqi asked curiously. It's a technique, Lan Qian said. Please teach me, senior sister. Teach you? Lan Qian was silent for a while. What do I get in return? What do you want? If there's something you want to learn or if there's someone you don't like, I can help, Yunqi said earnestly. It seemed like he could handle anything. Then let's wait a while. If I need something, I'll let you know, Lan Qian said. No problem. Where do we go now? Yunqi asked. Refine for a few more days, then let's go take a look at 36 heavenly stars. They say that if we get close, we can see some extraordinary things. The more comprehension we have, the faster our cultivation will progress, Lan Qian said. Chapter 300 Capturing the Late Foundation Establishment Realm Cultivator. Chapter 300 Capturing the Late Foundation Establishment Realm Cultivator. In Bloodtide Forest, after half a month of recuperation, Bu Haicheng's body had finally healed. He had made rapid progress since coming here 2 months ago. If it weren't for his unfortunate encounter with Yi Dong, he wouldn't be in this situation. At this moment, Bu Haicheng was waiting under a giant tree. Someone should be coming to assist him. Sure enough, a woman approached from a distance, and her divine aura spread out. Bu Haicheng quickly stepped forward to greet her. Greetings, Shui Yu. The woman was dressed in a blue and white gown. She looked at him icily. It seemed she didn't want to be here. Is Yi Dong really here? Shui Yu asked. Yes, I saw him with my own eyes, Bu Haicheng said. Have you found out about their situation? Shui Yu asked. I can confirm that there are 6 of them. One is Yi Dong, and 4 others are in the late stage of the Foundation Establishment Realm. One is in the middle stage of the Foundation Establishment Realm. The 4 people are a bit laid back, but there is one person who doesn't venture out. He only goes to the cave to mine at night and takes care of the spirit herbs, said Bu Haicheng. I still don't know which sect they belong to, but most of the people in the corpse realm come from the northern region. Don't worry about where they come from. The people here have no lack of background and power. It's better not to know so that we don't become overly cautious, Shui Yu said coldly. Bu Haicheng nodded. The people here, regardless of their sect or strength, were formidable. What should we do now? Bu Haicheng asked. Shui Yu looked into the distance. First, we need to figure out Yi Dong's intentions. Among those people, who is the closest to him? It should be the one who goes in to mine in the cave. They always enter the cave together. Is there any other information about that mine? Shui Yu asked. In theory, no one should have discovered that mine. They had deduced that it was related to the green surging heart based on information from many sources. If the mine hadn't appeared, they might still be searching for it. So how did these people know about it? I've heard some rumors. Some say that entering that mine can cause people to lose themselves, but the details aren't clear, Bu Hai Cheng said. There may be something hidden there that we are unaware of. Find someone who has recently entered the mine and try to lure him out, so we can inquire about it, Shui Yu said. Bu Hai Cheng agreed. There should be no issues in luring that person to them. Dealing with a Foundation establishment realm cultivator wasn't difficult. The main concern was whether the opponent possessed life-saving treasures. They had to be cautious and approach him discreetly before making a move. Another 7 days passed. Jiang Hao realized that he had been in the corpse realm for 2.5 months now. He had accumulated 26 blue bubbles through mining. He felt that the mines of the Heavenly Note sect yielded definitely more than near. After returning, he would have to figure out a way to go to the mines. As for profits, there hadn't been much progress. Currently, he had only 15,000 spirit stones, mostly obtained during the early period. There was still a large portion of the mined ores in the warehouse, and many spirit herbs as well. However, the spirit herbs were difficult to sell, so he could only wait. But could they hold on until the end? Sometimes, when senior brother Shong'an was not around, he felt like someone was watching him. He didn't know what they were planning. Mining in the cave was going smoothly. As soon as the charm goddess appeared, he drew his saber and sent her away. He then could mine uninterrupted throughout the night. I'm about to dig up little Mai's body. Something might happen then, so I must go out and prepare. Friend Jiang, be careful. There are many ores and spirit herbs here. Someone will undoubtedly be watching, Shong'an said. Jiang Hao nodded. After that, Shong'an briefly set up a defensive formation and then went about his own business. Once he left, Jiang Hao looked toward the mine. He frowned. The charm goddess is about to come out of the mine. In truth, he didn't want to encounter her. Her strength far surpassed his own. If she came out of the cave with a body, he might be in danger. Moreover, an existence like hers could easily bring various dangers. It was clear that Shong'an had no intention of restraining her. He couldn't bet on the hope that she would change her mind. That was simply impossible. The charm goddess had never lied to Shong'an. She had already made it clear that she might pursue other powerful individuals if she was set free. Should I stop her from escaping? Jiang Hao frowned. Stopping her would mean becoming an enemy of Shong'an. His strength was formidable, and the difference between their cultivation levels was vast. A direct confrontation might be dangerous. On the other hand, escaping from here was safer. Jiang Hao could conceal his aura and hide by using his techniques. It shouldn't be easy for these people to find him. Two figures suddenly appeared in front of the defensive formation. Early stage of the Golden Core realm and early stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. Jiang Hao was surprised when he looked at them. Another Foundation Establishment realm cultivator had come to the Foundation Establishment region. What was the reason for so many Foundation Establishment realm cultivators gathering here? He remembered the person at the Golden Core realm. Would you like to talk here or step out for a minute? Bu Hai Cheng politely asked. Anything is fine with me, Jiang Hao said. He wanted to know the intentions of these people. Even if he needed to act, he didn't need to worry much. This wasn't the Heavenly Note sect, and he didn't need to be cautious about fighting here. If it didn't attract the attention of Heavenly Steely Mountain, it should be fine. He didn't know how much killing would attract attention in the corpse realm. In any case, normal fights should be fine. Bu Hai Cheng was ready to persuade him but was taken aback when Jiang Hao agreed readily. It was unexpected. Jiang Hao walked out of the defensive formation. Shall we talk here or take a step further? Let's go further, Bu Hai Cheng said. The situation was proceeding too smoothly, which made him feel uneasy. Once they moved a bit farther, Jiang Hao asked, what do you want to know? We are well aware of Yi Dong. If you help us, we can help you escape his clutches, Bu Hai Cheng said. At first, Jiang Hao was puzzled, but then he understood. Yi Dong wasn't a good person, and it seemed that they believed he was being held against his will. Jiang Hao thought for a while. What do you want me to do? What is inside the mine? Shui Yu asked. There are ores and an entity waiting to be resurrected. I don't know the details, Jiang Hao said. Is it a man or a woman? Shui Yu asked again. It's a woman, Jiang Hao said. The news surprised the two, but they couldn't believe Yi Dong had come here for a woman. It was unlikely that he would come here for just one woman. There must be something special about her. Is she strong? Shui Yu asked. Not very strong. Jiang Hao shook his head. At least, not strong at the moment. Are you also keeping an eye on the mine? Asked Jiang Hao. Some things aren't for you to know. Don't ask, Shui Yu responded coldly. Jiang Hao frowned. I've answered many of your questions. You should answer some of mine too. I can answer them, said Bu Hai Cheng. But if you know too much, it'll be difficult for you to leave. I'll answer your first question. We are keeping an eye on the mine, but not because of the woman. We are after a treasure hidden in the mine. Chapter 301, Appraisal. Chapter 301, Appraisal. Treasure. Jiang Hao was puzzled. What kind of treasure could be in the mine? He had been inside the cave and hadn't noticed anything special. Yes. It's an object that can give birth to special things, just like the green surging heart or that you previously sold. It's the product of that treasure. Once you obtain it, you can have anything you desire, Bu Hai Cheng said with a smile. Is that your purpose? Jiang Hao asked. Yes. If you join us, you can also profit from it. Considering your cultivation level, under normal circumstances, it would be impossible for you to cooperate with us. But right now, since you are in the mine, you can work with us. If you possess that treasure, breaking through to the Golden Core realm will be within reach, Bu Hai Cheng said earnestly. Join you? Jiang Hao frowned. Is it a temporary cooperation, or long-term arrangement? When you achieve merit this time, I will naturally tell you which sect we belong to, Bu Hai Cheng said with a mysterious smile. By then, you will know that the sect is nothing special to us. Jiang Hao appraised him. He considered whether to stop them. However, he realized that he, an ordinary cultivator, couldn't possibly stop such a powerful force. He needed to find a way to let someone else handle it. Since you are after the treasure, the people coming must be very strong, right? Jiang Hao asked. Far beyond your imagination. In any case, they are not existences you can confront, Bu Hai Cheng said with a smile. Jiang Hao fell silent. He wondered if he should ask these two people directly about the organization. However, if they attacked him, he might not be able to handle it. He also wouldn't be able to find out what they were planning. If he let them go, he could avoid confrontation. He could catch some of their Foundation Establishment realm cultivators later for inquiries. What do you need me to do? Jiang Hao asked. Just follow our orders. When the time comes, we'll tell you what to do, and you shouldn't ask too many questions, Shui Yu said coldly. Jiang Hao nodded. There was no rush. In the myriad stone forest, 3 black-robed men sat under a huge boulder. The leader was lost in thought. Most things are ready. Bu Hai Cheng has also contacted the person who mines in the cave. It seems there is a woman inside. But is Yi Dong the kind of person who would be swayed by a woman? He probably has his own motives. We can still use this situation to our advantage, a woman next to him said. Can we trust that Foundation Establishment realm cultivator? Asked the leader. It's hard to say. Currently, we only know that his name is Jiang Hao. We can't confirm which sect he comes from, but Shui Yu secretly tested his talent with a secret technique. Although the accuracy of the method is not high, she found out that his talent is only average. It's hard to understand how someone with this level of talent could enter the corpse realm at all, especially as a Foundation Establishment realm cultivator, another black-robed man said in confusion. Jiang Hao? Asked the leader doubtfully. He wants to join us. We haven't brought it up yet, but based on Bu Hai Cheng's plan, they only want to use him. Once we are done with him, they will get rid of him. Understood. Then let's proceed according to the plan. The leader stood up and flew into the sky. Their destination was the blood-tide forest. Jiang Hao returned to the spirit field and began tending to the spirit herbs. Now that he knew about those people, his next step was to avoid them. He came here to mine, not for any treasure or organization. So, he would naturally try to avoid danger as much as possible. The issue now was with these spirit herbs. It was a waste to leave them here. They were valuable and could produce a lot of blue and green bubbles. Taking them away was a good idea. At noon, Xia Dong returned to the spirit field. After confirming that only Jiang Hao was present, she breathed a sigh of relief. Disciple Jiang, there's something I want to tell you. Xia Dong hesitated. I'm going to leave. Here are the spirit stones I earned from selling the ores. You can take your share later. According to the rules, I won't be allowed to take any spirit herbs or ores if I leave. I'm sorry, but I can't continue with this arrangement. Did you find any other opportunities? Jiang Hao put away the spirit stones and asked. It wasn't much. He would probably get only 200 to 300 spirit stones as his share. Yes, that's correct. Although I also want to earn more spirit stones, advancing to the Golden Core realm is more important to me. I hope you can inform the others, Xia Dong said apologetically. She prepared to leave. Wait. Jiang Hao called out to her. Seeing her confusion and vigilance, he quickly took out a spirit herb. I observed that your aura is similar to water, and it seems that this opportunity is related to it. This is a water spirit flower, which can be helpful for your advancement. Your cultivation is solid, but there is a sense of urgency within you. During the advancement, remember to keep a calm and composed mind and proceed step by step. You should be like water which flows naturally and blends with everything. Forcing it will only be counterproductive. That is all I have to say. He handed the spirit herb to her. Xia Dong was momentarily stunned. She didn't know why, but it felt like Jiang Hao was an expert who was giving her valuable advice. Moreover, everything he said was accurate. At this moment, she realized that this person was far more knowledgeable than she had given him credit for. Thank you. After that, Xia Dong quickly left. Jiang Hao felt a bit sad. Yet another person had left their group. He didn't mind the departures of these people. Each one of them was a genius and knew their priorities. They also knew what they were after. Advancing to the Golden Core realm was naturally the most important thing for them right now, and he wouldn't stop them. It was a fair trade. Once they left, they would have to leave everything behind. Parting on good terms would prevent any future enmity. Looking at the spirit herbs, Jiang Hao felt that if people continued to leave, all these spirit herbs could be his. That would mean enormous profit. The only thing was that there wouldn't be anyone who would help him sell them. At this moment, he looked at the cave again, thinking of Liu's P information. The end of all things was looking for something that could destroy all living beings. So, the treasure must be an item of misfortune. Considering the dangers of the mine, Jiang Hao realized that the damage would be irreversible if the organization succeeded. Chapter 302, The End of All Things. Chapter 302, The End of All Things. Jiang Hao had no way of knowing the plan of the end of all things. But they shouldn't take too long to arrive. They knew that Shongan was around, yet they still continued to pursue the mine. That meant that they were at the peak of the primordial spirit realm or even beyond. People like that would conquer the Foundation establishment region easily, and Jiang Hao couldn't do anything about it. They were the kind of opponent he couldn't face easily. The only way was to prepare an escape route. When everyone returned, he informed them about Xia Dong's departure and distributed the spirit stones. Ji Wen and the others felt a bit disappointed. Leaving meant starting the process of ascending to the Golden Core realm. Now, with Shongan guarding them, no one worried about the others advancing and turning against them. However, watching others make progress made them feel anxious. Everyone was capable. It was just a matter of finding the right opportunity. While others could find opportunities, they might not. That was very distressing. The days went on as usual. Gu Wen and the others continued to seek opportunities and brought back spirit herbs when they encountered them. They also occasionally helped with mining. Shongan continued his efforts to find a way to take away the charm goddess. After they left, Jiang Hao also left the area for a while. He needed a safe place to plant his golden rings. He had to place a ring at the blood-tide forest if he ever chose to leave the place. The end of all things sought to destroy everything. If they were successful, the blood-tide forest would be enveloped in danger. Even if he truly was at the primordial spirit realm, he might not be able to escape to safety at that time. His only hope was to use the golden rings. With that, he would only need the span of 3 breaths to leave the area. After finding 2 relatively safe locations, Jiang Hao returned to the mine and began to collect spirit herbs. Since other methods wouldn't work, he had to use his universe in a palm technique to seal the spirit field. But he had to first cut out the spirit field. After a few attempts, he confirmed the quickest way to seal it. As for the ores, he simply stored it in his storage treasure. If he put the spirit herbs in there, they would wither easily. 7 days later, Jiang Hao felt a new summoning, but the direction had changed again. It seems there will be 2 summoning from now on. One just as a warm-up, and the other to take me there directly. Is this the warm-up? That evening, after the danger in the mine had retreated, Jiang Hao once again entered the mine with Shongan. Shongan made him feel that he wasn't truly at the peak of the primordial spirit realm. He was so humble and down-to-earth that anyone could take advantage of him. The fact that Shongan had survived until now was probably because he had a toxic body. Whether he used poison or not as an attack, he could end up killing himself one day. Have you ever thought that more than one person might be watching the mine? Jiang Hao asked. I know that others also want to take Little Mai away, but they probably won't be as quick as me. Not everyone can enter the corpse realm, and even if they do, not everyone can take Little Mai away. I found her years ago, but I couldn't take her out of here. The mine itself has obstacles, and the corpse realm itself also has restrictions, Shongan said. Then, is it possible that someone is watching the mine? Jiang Hao asked again. Might be, but their goal should not conflict with mine. As long as they are not here for Little Mai, I can compromise, Shongan said. Jiang Hao nodded. That meant he wouldn't offend someone at the peak of the primordial spirit realm. I'll be able to dig out Little Mai's body in a few days, and then I'll try to take her away. So, I won't be at odds with anyone, Shongan said earnestly. He had already made up his mind. Once he got out, he would hide Little Mai and then marry her. After that, they would have their own children, and everything would be fine. Are you planning to take her out of here once you find her body? Jiang Hao was surprised. Yes, I don't know why, but Little Mai shouldn't stay here any longer. Jiang Hao could understand. In the past, some people wanted to save Little Mai, while others wanted to kill her. Now, she was trapped here, and her situation might have changed. That meant it wouldn't be easy for her to leave. Jiang Hao was relieved. If he didn't go looking for trouble, Little Mai would either leave immediately or be trapped in the cave anyway. She wouldn't have the time to trouble him. Jiang Hao looked at Shongan sadly. Even if they succeeded, once they were outside, the charm goddess would attract even more suitors. Shongan would suffer. Aren't you worried about what will happen if she manages to leave from here? Jiang Hao asked. Worried about what? She has an innate charm, and she doesn't know how to restrain herself. When that happens... Jiang Hao didn't continue his sentence. Shongan lowered his head. Little Mai said she likes me the most. Jiang Hao didn't say anything further. He just couldn't understand. After that, they separated, and Jiang Hao continued mining while Shongan did the same. Shongan, don't mind tonight. Spend more time with me. We'll have to have a baby after I leave. Maybe I can share you with someone else. No. You're only mine. Jiang Hao walked along the passage and ignored them. He felt that Shongan might encounter the end of all things. He had no idea what would happen then. The charm goddess had stopped bothering him, which was some consolation. He finally had some peace. Jiang Hao had already been in the corpse realm for 3 months. This time, when no one else was around, Murong Qingqing walked over to him. "Friend Jiang, I'm also leaving." She handed him the spirit stones. After storing the items, Jiang Hao asked, "Does your cultivation technique have something to do with the earth?" "It's somewhat related." Murong Qingqing nodded. Jiang Hao took out a spirit herb and handed it to her. "If I'm not mistaken, your advancement requires an opportunity related to tree vitality. You should have found a special tree by now. This is the earthwood flower, which can balance spiritual energies. With your solid foundation, if you don't encounter external conflicts, there shouldn't be any problem with advancing to the Golden Core realm. There's one more thing I need to remind you of. If possible, it's best to move that tree outside the blood-tide forest. I feel like there will be strong dower fluctuations in the forest, which may affect your advancement. That's all." Murong Qingqing was shocked. Not only did he see through her, but he also offered a solution to her problem. Indeed, she was worried that the Holy Spirit Wood's aura would be too overbearing, and it would affect her advancement. However, she didn't know that the earthwood flower could balance it. Move the tree outside the blood-tide forest? What's going to happen here? She felt that something was strange. It felt as though the only person in control of everything was standing before her. She didn't ask any more questions. Instead, she thanked him and left with the earthwood flower. Another one gone, Jiang Hao sighed. Now, only 1/4 of the items remained. But he couldn't sell them. Not long after Murong Qingqing left, he felt a Golden Core realm cultivator approaching. Bu Hai Cheng is here. Is the end of all things finally going to make a move? Chapter 303. Chapter 303. Do you think I'm at the Foundation Establishment realm? Chapter 303. Do you think I'm at the Foundation Establishment realm? Jiang Hao frowned. A Golden Core realm cultivator, especially one who had just advanced. Jiang Hao couldn't find more information from him. But that was fine. There would be opportunities. He couldn't be impatient. Patience was key. "Friend, we meet again." Bu Hai Cheng stood outside the formation and smiled. Jiang Hao walked out. The two entered the forest. Jiang Hao didn't detect any signs of aggression from the person, but he remained cautious. Golden Core realm cultivators sometimes posed a danger, and he also had to be wary of ambushes. "What do you want to ask this time?" Jiang Hao asked. "Did Yi Dong say anything?" Bu Hai Cheng looked around. He looked wary. "No," Jiang Hao said truthfully. Yi Dong was no longer the one talking. It was now Shong'an. "Has he been acting strange lately?" Bu Hai Cheng asked again. "He seems to be preparing for something," Jiang Hao said. "For what?" Jiang Hao shrugged. "Our plan is about to begin. It'll probably be the day after tomorrow. When Yi Dong leaves, you inform us. If he doesn't leave, you'll have to find a way to distract him. Shui Yu will then receive you. Your safety will be her responsibility," Bu Hai Cheng said. "Shui Yu is a powerful primordial spirit realm cultivator, so your safety is guaranteed." Jiang Hao lowered his head. Did this mean he was in danger of being taken hostage? "Is there a time limit?" "Yes, it must be before dark," Bu Hai Cheng said. Sure enough, they were here for whatever was in the mine that emanated a terrifying aura. But how were they planning to get in? "How do I contact you?" asked Jiang Hao. "Use this." Bu Hai Cheng tossed him a jade pendant. After a simple inspection, Jiang Hao knew that it was used for positioning. Bu Hai Cheng then prepared to leave. Jiang Hao appraised him once again. He didn't receive any warnings, but in 2 days, he would be deemed worthless, and they would get rid of him. The end of all things wouldn't take him. Jiang Hao was speechless. His talent wasn't that bad, but the end of all things who accepted just about anybody thought he wasn't worthy. Was it because their ideologies were different? The next day, when everyone was present, Jiang Hao said to them, "Tomorrow, someone will start attacking the mine. It's best to leave Blood-Tide Forest entirely if you're planning to leave." "Someone is going to attack the mine?" Ding Yu looked puzzled. "Why? Because of Little Mai?" Shong'an asked. "No." Jiang Hao shook his head. Their goal should be the source of danger which always emanates in the day. Once you leave, they will act. My plan is the night after tomorrow, one day later than them. Looks like I have to speed up. Shongan frowned. What about those things? Gu Wen looked at the nearby ore and spirit herbs. Divide them equally, Shongan said. Jiang Hao sighed. It was time to part ways. Having a group of people with a designated task for finding spirit herbs, selling them, and mining had been fun. The division of profit had been reasonable, too. Everyone had done their bit sincerely. Gu Wen and the others felt a bit regretful. But they didn't question Jiang Hao's words. They had met Xia Dong recently. She had advanced to the early stage of Golden Core Realm successfully. She had told them that Jiang Hao was far more than what he appeared to be. She had also told them that it would be better to listen to Jiang Hao's advice if he gave them any. Everyone had felt shocked at that. How about this, Shongan? You can put away the items first, and when everything settles down, we can continue, Gu Wen said. I have no objections, Ding Yu said. It won't work. Shongan shook his head. I'm going to try to leave in the next few days. If I fail, I'll probably die here. So, if you want to continue after that, you'll have to find someone else to guard the items. How about entrusting it to Jiang Hao? Gu Wen asked. Jiang Hao didn't respond immediately. He was thinking about his future plans. The influence of the end of all things was considerable, but there were still several months left for the follow-up. Continuing with this same group of people seemed rational. He might not find another group as reasonable as this. All right, then tomorrow I will store the items and guard them, Jiang Hao said. What about the spirit herbs? Ding Yu asked. I can take them too, Jiang Hao said. It's best for Shongan to receive his share tonight. Shongan chose to withdraw, so according to the rules, he could still take a share of the items. Of course, Shongan's cultivation was higher than theirs, so he could choose to ignore the rules. Shongan didn't refuse their plan. He didn't want to create resentment among anyone. Besides, he needed the spirit stones. The next morning, when Shongan came out of the cave, he saw that the spirit field and ores in the warehouse had disappeared. He didn't take the spirit herbs since he couldn't carry them, so he received more ores. Have the others already left? Shongan asked. Yeah, Jiang Hao said. What are your plans, senior? Last night, Jiang Hao had in mind and had looked around instead. He noticed a lot more spirit beasts in the vicinity. It was probably related to the end of all things. I'm about to find it. It's only a matter of time. When the time comes, I'll take little my out of this place, Shongan said. Jiang Hao was silent for a moment. Do you think you'll succeed? The success rate of one person making it out is high, but we're two people, Shongan said with a smile. But we have to try. This is the best plan I can think of. Is it even worth it? Jiang Hao didn't ask that aloud. In the afternoon, when you leave, they are planning to make a move in the evening, said Jiang Hao. He couldn't participate here as someone in the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm, so he would stay away from this area. Thank you, Shongan said gratefully. At noon, Jiang Hao felt many spirit beasts approaching. He also sensed a spiritual energy fluctuation far beyond the primordial spirit realm. Choosing to leave was indeed the correct decision. That noon, Shongan took his leave. Jiang Hao made up his mind and went to an area with normal fluctuations in spiritual energy. Once there, he activated the jade pendant. Soon, he felt an aura of the primordial spirit realm. It was Shui Yu. She wore white robes. Has Yi Dong left? Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Did he say anything? Shui Yu asked. He took everything with him, so he might be aware of something, Jiang Hao said. Has your plan started? I noticed there are spirit beasts around. Are they part of your plan? Don't you think you ask too many questions? Shui Yu sneered. Have you not considered that, as a late Foundation establishment realm cultivator, you have no right to ask so many questions? I feel like you have no sense of fear. Jiang Hao saw the jade pendant on her light up briefly, as if something had been transmitted. He then felt fluctuations in spiritual energy around him. It seemed like it had begun. Did the other senior send a message? Can you answer some questions for me if you're free? Do you think I'm at the Foundation establishment realm? Shui Yu scowled, and her primordial spirit aura spread out. At this moment, she stared at Jiang Hao with cold indifference. Haven't you realized? You are no longer of any use to us. Chapter 304. Chapter 304. Haven't I done anything wrong? Why do you treat me this way? Chapter 304. Haven't I done anything wrong? Why do you treat me this way? No longer of use. Jiang Hao already knew that. However, he had helped them out so much and given them too much information. It was only right that he should get something in return. Since you know now, don't resist. I'll give you a quick death, said Shui Yu as her aura expanded. At such a close distance, even if you have life-saving treasures, it won't be enough. That's true. Even with life-saving treasures, it won't be enough. Jiang Hao nodded. Just as I thought, Shui Yu was about to attack when she saw a flash of moonlight. The blade's radiance rushed at her like thunder. This sudden change didn't make her panic. She knew that the person in front of her wasn't as simple as he made himself out to be. How could someone at the Foundation establishment realm be so calm when facing someone at the primordial spirit realm? She had figured out that he must have some plan, especially since he was close to Yidong and frequently went into the cave with him. Fortunately, she was prepared. She could escape if she could block the attack. With the powerful treasures she had, she could even survive an attack from someone in the primordial spirit realm. She had made preparations on the way here. However, in the instant her protective measures were activated, she felt an inexplicable heaviness, as if something enormous was pressing down on her. Bang! Her life-saving treasure shattered. The blade slashed across her neck. Blood gushed out. Intense pain spread throughout her body. The overwhelming pressure was like 10,000 mountains pressing down on her. For a moment, her aura collapsed, and her legs trembled uncontrollably. Bang! She knelt under the terrifying pressure. She looked up to see an indifferent man. He held a silver-white long saber, with an imposing and powerful aura. A purple light followed him like a shadow. Late stage of the primordial spirit realm? Shui Yu was wide-eyed in shock. How could this be? She had assumed the person would have some treasures on him for protection, but she had never expected him to turn out to be such a powerful cultivator. Why would someone at the primordial spirit realm pretend to be at the Foundation establishment realm? Jiang Hao slowly approached Shui Yu. Senior, can you answer some questions for me now? Who are you? Fear and shock filled Shui Yu. Jiang Hao reached out and took her jade pendant. What is the cultivation realm of the strongest person from the end of all things? You know about the end of all things? Shui Yu couldn't believe it. Can you answer me? Jiang Hao said coldly. Shui Yu clutched at her bleeding neck. It's useless. He is in the soul ascension realm. You aren't his match. What is in the mine exactly? Jiang Hao asked. Shui Yu looked fanatical. Extremely dangerous creatures that can devour all things. Once released, you won't be able to escape. How dangerous? Are they as dangerous as the heavenly fate misfortune pearl? Jiang Hao asked. The heavenly fate misfortune pearl? Shui Yu was stunned. What do you mean? Jiang Hao sighed with relief. Seems like it's not as dangerous as that. What do you mean? Are you not afraid of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl? Do you know where it is? Is the pearl on you? Shui Yu was horrified. How did she even guess that? Jiang Hao was puzzled. Can you tell me about your plan? I can tell you, but you have to tell me about the heavenly fate misfortune pearl in return, Shui Yu said firmly. Okay. Jiang Hao nodded. The danger in the mine is the earth extreme heart-devouring pearl. It can devour all things, and once it's unleashed, everything around it will be destroyed, said Shui Yu. Jiang Hao was somewhat skeptical. Even heavenly fate misfortune pearl wasn't that destructive. Go on, Jiang Hao said. We plan to use countless spirit beasts to let it absorb their energy. Once it reaches a certain level of fullness, the creature will appear. At that time, we will break the seal ourselves, said Shui Yu. Jiang Hao frowned. Could it be that easy? Jiang Hao appraised her. At the early stage of the primordial spirit realm, a loyal member of the end of all things. She is worried that the sudden appearance of a strong primordial spirit realm cultivator might affect their plan, so she is deliberately exaggerating the situation to scare you away. At the same time, she is preparing to use her life to send a message that the heavenly fate misfortune pearl is related to you. Jiang Hao sighed. He couldn't understand why a genius like her would be in league with an organization like the end of all things. Are you just trying to scare me away so that you can send a message to your accomplices that the heavenly fate misfortune pearl is related to me? Jiang Hao asked. He could perceive any subtle movements. The nameless manual had greatly enhanced his observation abilities, far beyond ordinary cultivators. Someone in the early stage of the primordial spirit realm couldn't really deceive him. Shui Yu's face filled with terror. She couldn't understand how Jiang Hao had seen through her. Then, she felt the heaviness of 10,000 mountains pressing down on her. She felt her body breaking apart. She was going to die. At that moment, it seemed as if her entire life flashed before her eyes. She felt resentful. I don't want to die, she said with difficulty. I have never done anything wrong. Why do you treat me this way? I have only suffered humiliation and harassment. I endured it all. And now, I want revenge on everyone because no one ever stood up for me. Why do you want to kill me? Why? Because you also wanted to kill me. Shui Yu froze. She eventually fell silent. Jiang Hao sighed as he looked at her. It seemed that most of the members of the end of all things had a troubled past. Jiang Hao stabbed her twice more to make sure she was dead. He then buried her out of kindness. Rest in peace. Being harassed and beaten up in a sect was common, especially if it was a demonic sect. However, it was unlikely for a genius like her to be treated that way. Lin Ji was constantly beaten up because he didn't have talent, but he was lucky to have the spirit beast guide him. Despite his situation, he never lost hope. However, it was possible that someone that downtrodden would eventually be recruited by the end of all things. Someone like Lin Ji, who wouldn't ever cause any trouble for anyone normally, would turn out to be dangerous if recruited by the end of all things. An angry roar came from afar. Jiang Hao looked in the direction of the noise. The members of the end of all things were on the move. Even if Shui Yu was exaggerating a bit, their plan still might be destructive. I need to leave. He activated his ability and disappeared from the spot. At this time, outside the blood-tied forest, Murong Qingqing carried her tree and hurried out of the Foundation establishment region. I actually did it. I hope I won't be laughed at for being a fool. Chapter 305, Chapter 305, Last Wishes. Chapter 305, Last Wishes. Murong Qingqing looked at the quiet blood-tied forest and couldn't help but feel that her choice might have been wrong. However, Xia Dong had reminded her before that Jiang Hao might not be an ordinary person. Why worry about the blood-tied forest? After all, this is only the Foundation establishment region. How big of a storm can it create? Murong Qingqing looked for a safe place to attempt her breakthrough. After hesitating for a moment, she decided to keep a distance from the area. Since she would be mocked anyway, she might as well stay further away. If there really was a problem, she would be prepared to deal with it. If nothing was amiss, she could just wait patiently. After all, advancing to the next realm would take some time. As Jiang Hao hurried along the road, he checked Shui Yu's storage treasure. 767 spirit stones, a few remaining pills, not a single magic treasure, and some talismans, but all of them are cheap. This doesn't look like the storage treasure of someone in the primordial spirit realm. Was she this poor? Jiang Hao thought of Shui Yu's past. She must have led a really difficult life. Then, he found a book. It was a book without a title. As he opened it, Jiang Hao's brows furrowed. Yi Luo, a true disciple of the Heavenly Feather sect, framed me when I was still in the lifeblood refinement realm. He made me lose my virginity and humiliated me. When I have enough power, I will throw him to the beggars and humiliate him to death. Mo Tian, a true disciple of the Heavenly Feather sect. When I was still in the Foundation establishment realm, he robbed my magic treasures, snatched my spirit stones, and violated my body. When I informed the sect, his senior threatened me. I won't give in. I will kill them all one day. Jiang Hao looked at the names and crimes committed by each person. Each word carried hatred and resentment. Some names were crossed out. 2 names stood out. Jiang Hao sighed. He realized that to walk the path of immortality, one truly had to endure immense hardships. At this moment, he saw a black light flash across the book. It gathered and did not disperse. He closed the book. He didn't throw it away. He now had 20,000 spirit stones. If everything went smoothly, he could probably have more than 30,000 spirit stones when he finally left this place. It was unbelievable that he was going to become very wealthy. He needed to think about how to spend all that money. The awakening of the spirit beast's bloodline would take about 20,000 spirit stones, and the peach tree would take another 20,000. I'll have nothing left. Jiang Hao stopped in his tracks. He felt dejected. The spirit beast might give him a golden bubble, but what if it only gave him a purple bubble? He would give up on the spirit beast now and focus on the peach tree instead. As for the remaining spirit stones, he considered whether to use them to plant more spirit herbs from Liandaoji or not. It might yield some blue bubbles. Boom. A loud rumble came from afar. I wonder how Senior Shong and will fare in the end. Jiang Hao quickly left. He didn't want to get involved in this kind of situation. Even if there were treasures, he would stay away. Shongan was a good person, and if he could help, Jiang Hao would naturally do so. But he couldn't do that right now. The opponent was beyond the primordial spirit realm. This was far beyond his capabilities, and he didn't want to save the charm goddess. At this moment, 3 figures in black robes stood outside the cave. The leader of the black-robed figures took off his robe. He looked at the cave and gave a command. Countless spirit beasts rushed into the cave. After they entered, their flesh and blood were sucked away, leaving only bones behind. At this moment, the cave emitted a red glow with greenish streaks in places. After obtaining this treasure, I heard that you will truly enter the end of all things, said a woman beside him. Yes. The man nodded. Fellow disciple Dongfang, will you stay in the Heavenly Note sect after that or head out? Asked another person. I'll decide when the time comes, Dongfang Ji said calmly. I don't know if I'll succeed or not. What about Shui Yu? She went to look for that person in the Foundation establishment realm, but she hasn't come back yet. I tried contacting her, but it's like she vanished without a trace. I suspect she fell into Yidong's trap. I don't think she'll be coming back. The woman in the black robe sighed. Did she talk about any last wishes before she left? Dongfang Ji asked. Yes, but everyone knows about her wishes, and no one can help her fulfill them, said the woman in the black robe helplessly. Her final wish was to kill Yi Luo and Mo Tian of the Heavenly Feather sect. Have they entered the corpse realm? Dongfang Ji asked. Yes. The black-robed man nodded. Good. Once I get what I need, I'll help her fulfill her wish, Dongfang Ji said calmly. Then they waited. After some time, the roar grew louder, and the cave expanded bit by bit under the impact of countless spirit beasts. At this moment, the entire cave was covered in red light. It looked as though it would erupt at any time. Is it almost time? Dongfang Ji asked. In their eyes, the mining cave was like a red blood-filled sack that waited to be broken open. Dongfang Ji took out a Vajra staff. As soon as the magic treasure appeared, the surrounding air exuded immense pressure. It should be time soon enough, the black-robed man said solemnly. As he spoke, a green light appeared inside. The time is now. Dongfang Ji took a step forward, and his primordial spirit expanded and suppressed everything around him. Moreover, the Vajra staff in his hand emitted a brilliant light. Then he threw it. Boom. The moment the staff struck the mining cave, a terrifying force swept in all directions and spread throughout the blood-tide forest. Storms arose, and the force left Foundation establishment realm cultivators unable to move. You guys wait outside to prevent anyone from entering. There should be guards inside. I'll kill them and take that thing out. Be ready to seal it, Dongfangji said as he walked in. His speed was astonishing. He was the first to enter the mining cave. At this point, the mining cave had already created an outlet, so he wouldn't be affected. This state could be maintained for 3 days. If he couldn't get that thing within 3 days, the plan would be considered a failure. Murong Qingqing, who had already moved far away from the blood-tide forest, was still worried about running into someone. Firstly, she was afraid of losing opportunities. Secondly, she was afraid of being ridiculed by her fellow sect members. So, she remained very cautious all the way. When she found a relatively good place, she looked into the distance. She could still clearly see the blood-tide forest, which was still quiet. I should stop worrying. Murong Qingqing laughed at herself. After that, she began to cultivate to advance to the next realm. However, just as she was about to look away, a golden light shot up to the sky, followed by a burst of blood-red light. Boom! In an instant, the entire blood-tide forest was covered by the explosion. A powerful aura swept in all directions. Even though Murong Qingqing was far away from the forest, she still felt the impact. She was stunned. If she was still in the blood-tide forest right now, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Is his prediction coming true? Chapter 306, Unearthing the Charm Goddess. Chapter 306, Unearthing the Charm Goddess. Not only Murong Qingqing witnessed the eruption of the powerful force in the blood-tide forest. Ji Yuwen and Ding Yu, who had already run to the edge, also felt the aftermath of its pressure. If they were inside the forest, there would be no possibility of escaping. Fortunately, they had already used all means to start their escape early in the morning before dawn. Especially with the help of a senior, they managed to save a lot of time. Otherwise, it would have taken much longer to flee from the blood-tide forest. I can't understand what they are fighting about. Ji Yuwen shook his head and sighed. Forget about it. Let's hurry and escape. After all, it's not something cultivators like us can get involved in, Ding Yu said anxiously. Though they were geniuses, others were not inferior to them either. Competing with cultivators at higher levels was like walking down a dead end. The best approach was to stay away. As time passed, more people would undoubtedly enter the area, and the situation would become increasingly serious. It was simply not something cultivators in the Foundation establishment realm could handle. Do you think Jiang Hao might be in danger? Ji Yuwen suddenly asked. It's hard to say, but he brought the news here, so he might have been prepared. Ding Yu furrowed his brows. I'm just worried we won't be able to find Jiang Hao, he said. It's simple. Didn't they say he came here to mine? We can search where there are mines or spread a message saying there's a good mine somewhere. Jiang Hao will come on his own. Ji Yuwen smiled. Ding Yu chuckled. But what if Jiang Hao wasn't here for mining? They could think about that later. Right now, the most important thing was to escape. Meanwhile, Jiang Hao stood in the blood-tide forest. He had already fled quite a distance, but he could still keenly feel the aura of blood. It contained a terrifying force that seemed capable of devouring all life force. As expected. I must avoid the place for a while. Jiang Hao quickly retreated. He had left 3 golden rings in different locations. One near the mine and the other 2 outside the blood-tide forest. This way, he had enough time to consider whether to intervene or not. If it was within his capabilities, he would give it a try, but if it exceeded his limits, he would have to stay far away. Afterward, he began to move away from the blood-tide forest. He searched for a high point where he could see the location of the mine and understand the situation. Whether it was the end of all things or Shong'an, they both piqued his interest. He wanted to see the outcome of this fight. As Dongfangji entered the mine, the 2 figures outside kept a close watch. Their responsibility was to prevent anyone else from entering the mine. They had to be prepared to seal the mine if necessary. If whatever was inside couldn't be sealed, it would be deadly for them. Boom! A powerful surge of energy erupted from the mine and caused the surrounding area to collapse. The blood aura spread as if something was struggling inside. The two figures in black robes could clearly feel that something was about to emerge. It seems like this is the place, and the success rate should be high, the man in the black robe said. Quick. Set up the seal, the woman in the black robe said. They suddenly felt a gust of wind around them. They quickly realized that something was amiss. Who's there? They searched the surroundings and soon spotted a figure at the entrance of the mine. It was a man dressed in white. Yi Dong, they exclaimed. They had been on guard against Yi Dong, but they couldn't sense his presence at all. Had he become this strong? They knew quite a bit about Yi Dong, and he shouldn't be this strong. Could he be concealing his true strength? But they couldn't get an answer. At this moment, Yi Dong didn't even look back as he entered the mine. The two black-robed individuals couldn't stop him, and they didn't dare to enter the mine recklessly, as it might disrupt their plan. I hope he's not here for Dongfang Ji. Otherwise, the man in the black robe sighed. Otherwise, it would be considered negligence on their part. Shongen paid no attention to anything else. He could sense that a powerful alchemy master was currently working deep inside. Although he didn't know who he had to deal with, he didn't care. Shongen, why did you come here? The mine is dangerous now. I feel that something terrifying inside wants to break free. Besides, it seems that I'm being watched, and it's not easy to leave. You should leave and come back when things calm down, said the charm goddess. No, time waits for no one. These 2 days are the best chance to leave. If we miss it, you won't be able to escape from here. Don't worry, I can handle it. Shongen took out a mining pickaxe and began to mine. Why aren't you listening to me? The charm goddess pouted in annoyance. If you save me, I'll find other men. Still, Shongen didn't stop. You've been imprisoned here for too long, and you must want to leave. I just want to get you out of here. Shongen, would you treat other women the same way? The charm goddess asked. No, Shongen said. I like you the most, said the charm goddess with a smile. This made Shongen work even harder at mining. Boom. There was an explosion somewhere, but Shongen ignored it. Late at night, Shongen had dug open a space. The place where the charm goddess was trapped couldn't be broken open with brute force, so he had to dig bit by bit. Now, he had finally reached it. He could finally get her out of there. As time passed, the exit here would also be blocked, which was why he had to dig twice. The space was like a small room with no other exit. At the center of the room, there was a stone coffin covered with various seals. Little Mai, I've finally found you, Shongen said in astonishment. Then open it, said the charm goddess with a smile. Without hesitation, Shongen opened the stone coffin. Inside was an incredibly beautiful woman, dressed in thin gauze. She was half hidden and half exposed. Her body was full of ethereal allure. Anyone would lose their self-control if they took one glance at her. At this moment, the charm goddess entered the stone coffin and lay down. The spirit blended with her body. Then she opened her eyes and tugged at her clothes. Is my skin exposed? Yes. Shongen nodded. He then took out some clothes from his bag. Here. I brought you some clothes. The charm goddess smiled. Shongen, I really like you. She took the clothes and found them to be extremely beautiful and comfortable. The robe covered her modestly but still accentuated her figure. Now I have to let my main body count. Only then will I have the strength to take you out of here, Shongen said solemnly. This was just the beginning. The real struggle was yet to come. Main body? The charm goddess paused. Then she smiled radiantly. Then do it quickly, let's make a baby first. We can leave tomorrow. Saying this, she gently put down the gauze. Shongen was moved. At this moment, Yi Dong's body slowly split open, revealing a tall but ugly man. He felt unworthy when he looked at the beautiful charm goddess. However, the charm goddess showed no qualms. She was delighted to see him. She embraced him. Shongen, let me feel your warmth. Tonight, no matter what you say, you must get me pregnant. I like you. Shongen let out a sigh of relief. Right now, we must leave from here. Don't you like me anymore? Are you repelled by me? Asked the charm goddess. Shongen was speechless. Chapter 307, Chapter 307, The God of War. Chapter 307, The God of War. Dongfang-ji was in a fierce battle with a bloodguard, and their powers kept destroying the mine. The closer they got to the inner part, the stronger the bloodguard became. Dongfang-ji could easily suppress him in the beginning, but as time passed, he realized that it wasn't as easy as he thought. From the beginning of their fight, through alternating day and night, and into the break of dawn, he felt exhaustion setting in. Continuing like this would make success difficult. There were still 2 days left. In these 2 days, he had to reach the center of the mine and get the object. It's not that easy. With my current cultivation, it may not be enough. But I can't worry about that now. At this moment, Dongfang-ji repelled the bloodguard and summoned the Vajra staff. A powerful aura instantly spread out and locked onto the target. He threw it with force. Boom! The terrifying attack swept in all directions. Dongfang-ji charged in. He intended to bring out the item with the force of a thunderbolt. In the stone coffin, the charm goddess licked her lips and looked satisfied. Throughout the night, she experienced unprecedented pleasure. "I'm happiest with you, Shong-en," she said as she held onto the man next to her. "Both my body and soul are satisfied. Is this what love feels like? I want to surrender to you." Boom! The powerful waves of energy shook the stone coffin. At this moment, Shong-en came to his senses. He needed to take the charm goddess away. He got up. "Little Mai, I'll take you out of here now." "We can't leave," the charm goddess said helplessly. "We can leave. I've planned everything." "There's no problem," Shong-en said earnestly. The charm goddess smiled. "Then I'll follow you, Shong-en, wherever you go." "I'll go too." Shong-en nodded and closed the stone coffin. He then used his spiritual power to lift it up and began to leave. As he carried the stone coffin out of the small room, the entire mine seemed to come to a standstill. Then, countless forces surged toward them. Whoosh! A powerful force rushed towards Shong-en and attempted to strike him down. This force was in the early stage of the soul ascension realm. Shong-en's displayed cultivation was only at the peak of the primordial spirit realm. The overwhelming aura was enough to suppress the primordial spirit. Boom! The charm goddess was worried, but to her surprise, Shong-en raised his hand casually and blocked the attack. Immediately, bloodguards appeared, and Shong-en's face darkened. Shong-en carried the coffin and began to leave. At this time, the bloodguards surged and besieged Shong-en, while more powerful forces surrounded them from all sides. "It's useless. Today, I'm no longer the person I was yesterday." Boom! Shong-en clashed with the bloodguards. They exploded on impact. His cultivation rapidly ascended. It advanced to the early stage of soul ascension realm, then kept rising until it reached the peak of return to void realm. The charm goddess looked in shock at Shong-en, whose cultivation was still rising. At this time, the bloodguards also grew stronger and caused the entire mine to shake violently. Boom! In an instant, a powerful force erupted, and the mine exploded. However, the next minute, the mine was restored once again. The forces of destruction intertwined and collided. It broke the ground and the walls as though many beasts were in a stampede. Boom! Boom! The entire blood-tide forest began to shake. Shong-en took a step forward. His power was incredibly vast, and it constantly suppressed the surrounding energy. The charm goddess stared at the person before her in astonishment. "Shong-en, when did you become so strong? It's only been a few years since I last saw you." Shong-en's strength far exceeded her imagination. At this moment, he stood there and emitted endless brilliance. He looked like the god of war. In his presence, the charm goddess felt unworthy. At this moment, Dongfang-ji, who was deep inside the mine, sensed the terrifying power. He turned to look. His eyes were filled with fear. What kind of formidable expert is this? If someone like that comes here, I won't have any means to fight. Life and death would be decided in an instant. Fortunately, the powerful person did not come his way. Moreover, most of the forces in the mine seemed to be heading in that direction, which allowed him to continue forward. He encountered no obstacles on his way. If that powerful individual showed no interest in this place, then Dongfangji could take out the item he was looking for. The only concern was whether he could seal it afterward. Outside, the horrifying power shattered everything. Two figures in black robes were filled with terror. They quickly retreated. When the mine exploded, they narrowly escaped death. What happened inside? Why is there such a powerful force? I don't know. Isn't this far beyond the soul ascension realm? It shattered the mine. Both of them were terrified and quickly withdrew from the place. The surrounding land began to collapse. The power clashes affected the entire blood-tide forest and caused numerous Foundation Establishment realm cultivators to flee. The whole forest was on the verge of collapse. Jiang Hao stood outside the blood-tide forest. He felt the fluctuation in the spiritual energy and was shocked. This was beyond the soul ascension realm. This level of power reminded him of the battle in the Heavenly Note sect's mine before. It was incredibly terrifying. At that time, he was just at the Golden Core realm. He was now in the primordial spirit realm, and still, he couldn't face such a power. It was best to stay away. Entering the mine now would be akin to courting death. Fortunately, he escaped quickly. Boom! Suddenly, thunderous sounds came from the sky. Jiang Hao looked up and found that the human yuan array seemed to have reacted to the power fluctuation. I don't know how the human yuan will react further. Meanwhile, Xia Dong, Ji Yuwen, and Ding Yu saw the current situation in the blood-tide forest. They trembled. What level of power was this? Even a bunch of primordial spirit realm cultivators couldn't achieve such a thing. Fortunately, they had escaped, or else. It was terrifying even to think about it. Shong'an stepped out with big strides, and the surrounding blood guards exploded. He protected the stone coffin and continued to move out. He used his teleportation technique, which allowed him to move faster. At this time, the blood guards tried to stop him, but they couldn't. However, they kept reassembling and becoming stronger. They made it increasingly difficult for Shong'an to take each step. As time passed, the power within the mine was released, and the suppressive force became stronger. The attacks became more ferocious. While Shong'an battled the blood guards, a blazing red light rushed from deep within the mine. When he sensed it, the red light was already upon him. In the next moment, it pierced through his body. For a moment, Shong'an stepped back. Blood gushed out of him, but he continued forward. He resisted with all his might. But soon, the red light attacked from all directions again. It pierced through the blood guards and through Shong'an. Wisps of red lights pierced through Shong'an. He spat out a mouthful of blood. The circulation of his power paused. The blood guards closed in. If they got near him, Shong'an would undoubtedly be killed. At this moment, Shong'an gritted his teeth and unleashed his power once again. How could he fall here? He had just begun. I won't be defeated. Absolutely not. I've prepared for this day for so many years. I cultivated tirelessly and prepared myself. My cultivation, and my techniques, have all undergone countless tests. I'm fully prepared. How could I be defeated here? Today, I will take Little Mai away, and no one can stop me. At this moment, flames appeared on Shong'an's body, and his power erupted once again. However, his injuries became increasingly severe. It seemed he might collapse at any moment. The charm goddess looked at Shong'an, who was covered in blood. She wanted to tell him to give up, but she couldn't bring herself to say it. She felt that she would be disrespecting years of his efforts if he told him to let go. But if this continued, Shong'an might die. Chapter 308, The Fallen Shong'an. Chapter 308, The Fallen Shong'an. Time passed very slowly. At least in Shong'an's eyes, the passage of time felt like the slowest moment of his life. He needed to save Little Mai and deflect the blood guards. He needed to protect the coffin. He had envisioned many scenarios and prepared for everything. His cultivation had been low, so he had worked diligently to improve it. He had advanced from primordial spirit realm to soul ascension realm and then to return to void realm in the shortest time possible. He specialized in techniques and increased his power greatly. He had also comprehended formations to shake the human yuan array. He had done all this with one purpose in mind, to get Little Mai out. If everything went smoothly, he could still achieve that goal. However, time felt too slow. He had been walking for so long, yet he still hadn't managed to leave the mine. But how could he give up? Nothing could crush his determination, and no one could surpass him. As he watched the surroundings slow down and the bloodguards attack relentlessly, Shongan roared in anger. His lifeblood started to surge, and a mighty power burst forth. It shook everything around. His strength surpassed the limits of his cultivation realm. It seemed as if he wanted to burn out the last trace of his life force. Looking at the man before her, who was sacrificing everything for her sake, Little Mai was stunned. She hesitantly reached out to stop him. Don't. She realized that Shongan's feelings for her went far beyond her imagination. She had never expected it to be like this. Just as she spoke, a roar resounded. Everything around them collapsed into nothingness. A powerful force shook the entire mine and suppressed the mine's pressure on the stone coffin. At that moment, Little Mai felt a fleeting sense of freedom. When she looked at Shongan again, she felt like a person in darkness seeing a guiding light. The road to freedom was just ahead of her. She saw Shongan turn around to look at her. He smiled softly. Little Mai, I will get you out of here, he said softly. At that moment, tears welled up in Little Mai's eyes and streamed down her face. Boom! The mine started to counterattack again, and this time, the power surpassed even Shongan's. However, Shongan continued to use the teleportation technique to escape from the mine. The surroundings kept changing as he approached the mine's exit. Wisps of red light pierced through Shongan, but he paid no attention to them. He would be out soon if he could hold on a little longer. As long as he got out of the mine, Little Mai would finally be free. Nobody could stop him. Not now. In this place, he was invincible. Although he was on the verge of collapse, Shongan didn't fall. He endured the attacks and the pain and managed to reach the entrance of the mine. As she felt her spirit begin to fade away, she felt freedom. Freedom was just one step away from her. Outside the mine, the two figures in black robes who had been waiting for 2 days dared not get near it. The dower emanating from the mine made them fearful. What kind of terrifying existence was this? They had no idea. This level of power far exceeded their expectations. The battle gradually subsided. They felt anxious. What happened? Asked the black-robed woman. I don't know, but the mine is intact. I'm not sure what happened. The two of them were still exchanging thoughts when they suddenly felt someone coming out of the mine. They quickly concealed their presence and suppressed their aura. They were afraid of being detected. However, after waiting for a while, they sensed that the person's aura was extremely weak, as if he was on his last breath. The two of them were astonished but still didn't dare to approach the mine. The man turned to look at them and collapsed with a loud thud. Who is he? And what's in the coffin? The two were puzzled. Should we go and take a look? Asked the black-robed woman. Let's wait. The black-robed man was wary. After waiting for a while and confirming that the man was indeed severely injured and on the brink of death, they approached him. Should we trap him first? The black-robed man used a technique to trap Shongan. The two of them approached the stone coffin. What's inside? Should we try to open it? The black-robed woman hesitated. Or should we leave it for now and check it after obtaining that thing? The commotion is probably related to the stone coffin. It's beyond our capabilities. The black-robed man hesitated for a while and decided to give up. All right, let's call Bu Hai Cheng here to keep an eye on it. We need to continue preparing the seal. I feel that Dongfang Ji is about to succeed, said the black-robed woman. Dongfang Ji arrived at the center of the mine. He felt that all the surrounding power was heading to another location. The presence was simply unimaginable. It was so powerful that it made him wary. His gaze finally fell on the thing he had come here for. A green bead was trapped here. There was a lot of blood energy on it, as if it had just absorbed a spirit beast. It seemed a bit full for now, but it would start devouring blood energy again. He had to take it out of the mine as soon as possible and seal it. After waiting for a while, Dongfangji noticed that the power from the other place was returning, and the aura of the previous powerful person disappeared. He didn't rush. If the powerful person had left, then he would wait for a while before moving out. It would be much safer that way. Now it was all about waiting. He needed to wait until the blood guards attacked again. He would then take the bead away. In the middle of the night, Dongfangji sensed the danger of the mine. He quickly left the mine with the bead. Success or failure would depend on this one final move. Chapter 309, The Appearance of a Celestial. Chapter 309, The Appearance of a Celestial. Late at night, Jiang Hao stood outside the blood-tide forest. He couldn't see how everything had ended, but he could feel the spiritual energy calming down. This meant that the battle had come to an end. He also saw a green light. The moment the green light appeared, he felt uneasy. The blood energy around seemed to be trembling. It was very subtle, but it was there. It seems the battle has ended, and the thing has come out of the mine. But it doesn't seem strange. It's probably sealed. Jiang Hao looked toward the sky. The human Yuan had no further changes. He wondered why that was. I wonder if Shongan succeeded. Jiang Hao was a little curious. He couldn't sense anything from him right now. However, Shongan had told him he would leave in a day or two. The formation showed no change. It was likely that he might have failed in his attempt. He sensed the presence of power near the green light. Someone was trying to seal that thing. I wonder if anyone is left. There should be, but I'm not sure how strong they are. The battle had been terrifying. Jiang Hao was afraid to approach the mine. After hesitating for a while, he took out the Heaven Secret's hidden talisman and activated it. He then activated the breath concealment talisman too. He then concealed his aura. After doing all this, he communicated with the golden ring he had left in the blood-tide forest. He went to check on the situation. At this time, he also took out his protective treasure and the teleportation talisman. If there was any danger, he would flee. He disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was in a forest some distance away from the mine. He wouldn't take the risk of getting too close. He felt a strange aura the moment he arrived. The aura was somewhat excited but greedy. It seemed as though it wanted to devour everything near it. The green light became even more intense. So, that is the Earth Extreme Heart-Devouring Pearl. Jiang Hao looked in the direction of the green light in astonishment. If that aura wasn't suppressed, it would be dangerous. He would have fled if it hadn't been sealed. It was terrifying. If such an item fell into the wrong hands, no one knew what would happen. It was just like the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl. Dan Yuan suggested that such things must be handed over to stronger sects. The immortal sects would find a way to seal such things and would not allow them to wreak havoc in the world. However, the demonic sects might not do the same. Unfortunately, no one from Clear Sky School and the Bright Moon sect is here to handle things. If anyone from there were present, I could have found them. There were people from the Mountain Sea Sword sect, but I don't think they will get involved. Jiang Hao had dealt with the Bright Moon sect before. They were reasonable people. Liu Xingchen was also from the Heavenly faction. The Heavenly faction was alright too. They were known as the strongest immortal sect and were unmatched by other sects in terms of ideology or strength. Jiang Hao tried to make sense of his surroundings and soon detected Shongan's aura. His aura was weak. He was almost dead. How did he get so severely injured? Jiang Hao was puzzled. He made sure that there were no powerful people around. He also realized that those who were strong enough were trying to seal the Earth Extreme Heart-Devouring Pearl. The place was safe for now. The powerful person from before was nowhere to be seen. Jiang Hao was still wary. Bu Hai Cheng, who was standing guard, heard footsteps. He turned to see a figure standing under a tree. "Who goes there?" he asked warily. The figure seemed to be at the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm, but he couldn't see the person clearly. Perhaps they were using some concealment treasure. Soon, the figure emerged from the darkness. Bu Hai Cheng could finally see who it was. Under the moonlight, it was Jiang Hao standing in front of Bu Hai Cheng. Disciple Jiang. Bu Hai Cheng smiled. I heard that Shuue was killed by Yi Dong. Jiang Hao glanced at Bu Hai Cheng and then turned to look at Shong'an. He finally understood who the terrifyingly powerful person was from before. It was Shong'an. Judging from the traces of aura on his body, his power far exceeded the primordial spirit realm. Said Jiang Hao. Now, where is Yi Dong? Bu Hai Cheng asked. I don't know, but I advise you to leave as soon as possible. If Yi Dong comes, you'll undoubtedly lose your head, Jiang Hao said. All right. Thank you, disciple Jiang. Bu Hai Cheng passed by Jiang Hao and headed toward the woods. However, when he arrived behind Jiang Hao, he suddenly activated his power to attack him. Hihi, you've fallen into my trap, haven't you? I've long known that Yi Dong was impersonating that ugly freak. You've come to save him, yet you still want to deceive me. Go to hell. He was about to attack Jiang Hao. However, for some reason, his vision began to shift and then started spinning. Soon, he saw his own body. He realized that he had been beheaded. Jiang Hao had attacked him. How could this be? Jiang Hao paid no attention to the fallen Bu Hai Cheng and walked to Shong'an. He looked at the man on the ground, who was barely breathing. He sighed. Was it worth all this for the sake of one woman? Shong'an heard Jiang Hao's voice. He tried to lift his head and look at him. Master. The charm goddess heard the voice and reached out. Her power began to manifest. The space overlapped and suddenly a white-haired old man was standing beside Jiang Hao. Shong'an, the old man said angrily. Is it worth it to waste your cultivation for a woman? Is it truly worth it? Shong'an knelt on the ground silently. I will help you, but you have to kill that woman, said the old man. You have to promise me that you will kill her. No, I can't do it. I really can't do it. Shong'an shook his head. Master, I can't. Kill little Mai. Shong'an, the old man roared. Do you know the talent you possess? Your cultivation has already surpassed mine. Once Clear Sky School discovers your talent, they will accept you as a true disciple, even if you previously belonged to a demonic sect. You are destined to stand at the pinnacle of the entire cultivation world. How can you be held back because of a woman, Shong'an? My disciple, wake up. Chapter 310, You are not worthy. Chapter 310, You are not worthy. Under the moonlight, Shong'an lay on the ground. He was still severely injured. He heard his master roar. I can't let go, muttered Shong'an. The charm goddess looked at him. Jiang Hao watched indifferently. Shong'an's master sighed. I pursued profit throughout my life, made countless enemies but never cared, yet I ended up taking you as my disciple. Your disposition is weak, and you are stubborn. How do I deal with you? As your disciple, I'll take on all your enemies. I won't let anything happen to you, said Shong'an. The old man smiled and sat down. That's not what I meant. Shong'an, you should join the Clear Sky School. You have potential. I have no other wish than to see you stand at the pinnacle of the cultivation world. No matter what, I'll make a trip to Clear Sky School for you. Since you are unable to kill her, I'll find someone else to continue teaching you. Master, I won't go to the Clear Sky School, said Shong'an weakly. The old man looked helpless. Shong'an, you've met only a few people in your life. You think she loves you, but she doesn't. You will meet many women in the Clear Sky School who are worthy of you. You will meet someone who truly understands you and your worth. She will accept you for who you are. You'll understand then that love is not only about physical desire. Trust me, there will be someone for you too who will love you for who you are. I have raised you. I know you. The one you run behind is not your destined partner. She isn't worthy of you. Shong'an. Suddenly, the old man walked to Shong'an's side. Your character determines your future. It may be rough, desperate, helpless, and painful. But no matter how difficult and bitter it is, you must persevere. Remember, you must live on. If you survive, Your future will be brilliant. Shongan, you must survive. Boom. The scene erupted. Shongan regained his breath and seemed to have awakened. However, it seemed that he couldn't hold on for much longer. Please, he reached out to Jiang Hao. Help me. How can I help you? Jiang Hao stepped forward and stood in front of Shong. Help me get little Mai out of here, murmured Shong and I have prepared a formation. I prepared the formation. I can get one person out. Help me get her out of here. Please. Little Mai bit her bottom lip. The words of Shongan's master had hurt her deeply. All right. Jiang Hao nodded. Activate the formation, and I'll get her out. Shongan was relieved. Thank you. At that moment, a light radiated from Shongan's body. The formation was activated. The previously quiet human Yuan formation also reacted. Boom. A beam of light crashed into the human Yuan formation, and it created a small vortex that led outside the corpse realm. Jiang Hao knew that if the charm goddess went out, she would be resurrected. He squatted beside Shong'an and fed him some spirit herbs. Then he stood up. Whether you can survive or not depends on yourself. Jiang Hao extended his hand and activated the universe in a palm ability. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Hao sealed Shong'an in the palm of his hand. Then he looked up at the vortex. He then activated the reappearance of the hidden spirit ability. In an instant, Jiang Hao's strength soared to the peak, and purple energy surrounded him. He raised his hand toward the vortex that appeared in the human Yuan formation. Jiang Hao threw the purple bead toward the vortex. He noticed that the formation was also protecting the bead. Everything happened too fast. Shong'an had prepared this for little Mai. Only when Shong'an entered the vortex did Jiang Hao breathe a sigh of relief. Jiang Hao knew that he would be seen as a sign of his failure. He just wanted to do what he felt was right. Shong'an deserved better. After everything was done, he turned to the charm goddess. You don't look surprised. The charm goddess looked up at the sky and watched Shong'an leave. She turned to Jiang Hao with a sad smile. I knew you wouldn't save me. After all, you aren't an ordinary person. Shong'an was the same. He was extraordinary. I never knew he had such talent. He had advanced so fast that even I was astonished. He is a genius, yet he stayed by my side and was willing to risk his own life to save me. I thought Shong'an wouldn't be able to get me out because he wasn't strong enough. I was wrong. He exceeded my expectations. Are there other charm goddesses like you in the cultivation world? He asked. Not many. She shook her head. But you can find them in some places. Are they all promiscuous and don't know how to restrain themselves? Jiang Hao asked. Yes. The charm goddess nodded. So, in other words, there are actually many people who can make Shong'an believe that they truly care about him? Jiang Hao asked. But there is only one. Shong'an. You were lucky to meet him. The charm goddess was stunned, but she didn't say anything. I agree with Shong'an's master. There will be someone who will accept and understand him for who he is. Do you even know him that well? Asked Jiang Hao. You're not worthy of him. Go back to the cave. Continue with what you do but treat others with kindness. Maybe then someone will try to actually save you. Jiang Hao approached the stone coffin and kicked it. It flew toward the cave. It felt as though countless blood wisps reached and pulled it inside the mine. Jiang Hao felt strange. It was as though creatures were staring at this place from inside the mine. When Shong'an was there, they didn't take any action. But now that he was gone, they seemed to get excited. Jiang Hao didn't understand why it happened. But he didn't care. He had thought of killing the charm goddess, but he was worried that opening the coffin would awaken her. Her strength had shown signs of recovery, and he didn't want to take any risks. Moreover, killing her would bring him trouble. So, he gave up. Jiang Hao turned to look at the green light. Despite the loud commotion just now, the people there hadn't come over. He could go and investigate a bit. Chapter 311, Earth Extreme Heart Devouring Pearl. Chapter 311, Earth Extreme Heart Devouring Pearl. Lan Qian stepped forward on the grassy lawn. Her steps were graceful. Yunqi looked at her and smiled. Senior sister, have you never thought of finding a companion? Don't you think that finding a companion would affect my cultivation? Lan Qian asked calmly. I don't feel that way. Cultivating with a companion has certain benefits, Yunqi said. I have seen many cases like that. I don't cultivate in that way. I only focus on my own cultivation, Lan Qian said. Not even a clone? Yunqi asked. If your clone is of the opposite gender, what would the seniors of the sect think? Lan Qian asked, do you like your own body very much? Yunqi smiled. Do you have a clone? No, I don't, Lan Qian said. Why? Yunqi looked puzzled. The 9 extreme corpse technique has more than one cultivation method. It's just that most people have clones, Lan Qian said calmly. Just as Yunqi was about to ask further, the sky lit up. Immediately, the formation started to surge. This sudden change surprised them. Someone has triggered the human Yuan formation. Why would that be? Lan Qian was puzzled. Wow, their cultivation level must be quite high. Yunqi was also surprised. Isn't it risky not to conceal themselves while going out? At that moment, a vortex appeared in the human Yuan formation. It was clear that the vortex led outside the corpse realm. Someone actually researched the human Yuan formation so thoroughly, Lan Qian was astonished. At this moment, a purple light streaked across the sky and rushed toward the vortex. What is that? Lan Qian was confused. The person went to great lengths to open the vortex just to send that out. Yunqi smiled. Such impressive power. Lan Qian looked at him in surprise. Senior sister, where will the heavenly steely mountain appear? Let's continue to comprehend the 6th tablet, Yunqi said. Whether we'll encounter it depends on luck, Lan Qian said with a frown. I don't know why that genius is hesitating to appear. Since they've entered the corpse realm, what could be more important than heavenly steely mountain? Perhaps that genius is already here, Yunqi said. They didn't know for sure and could only wait to see if that genius would appear next time. At the blood-tide forest, Jiang Hao applied another concealment talisman to himself. Only then did he walk toward the green light. He didn't dare to get too close. At this moment, he was prepared to flee at any time. He kept the golden rings and the teleportation talisman ready. The 2 rings were still active, and he had retrieved the ones he had used before. Jiang Hao was only faintly visible in the moonlight. Suddenly, a wave of energy came crashing down. Jiang Hao was alarmed. He hid behind a tree. Then, a green light soared into the sky. This time, Jiang Hao could see the green light clearly from a distance. It was coming from a jade-like green bead. It seemed to be full of vitality but carried a terrifying aura as if it could devour his entire soul. So, this is the Earth Extreme Heart-Devouring Pearl? Jiang Hao was astonished. As the bead ascended, it was suppressed by another formation. It was difficult for them to break the seal, even if they wanted to. Jiang Hao observed for a while and slowly approached the area. Soon, he sensed a formation ahead and decided not to get closer. Boom! The aura of a peak primordial spirit realm appeared and suppressed the bead. At this time, the bead was flying into the sky. Jiang Hao was surprised to find that the bead was coming toward him. He had to step back. Boom! Another peak primordial spirit realm joined the bead. Soon, the bead was suppressed at the edge of the formation. Sensing the aura of the 2 individuals, Jiang Hao stayed hidden in the darkness. Someone at the peak of the primordial spirit realm was already powerful enough. He hadn't expected 2 of them. Moreover, someone was likely maintaining the formation, and that person might be the strongest one. He glanced at the bead and appraised it. If his strength wasn't enough or if he was too far away, the divine ability might fail. When awakened, it can devour all flesh and blood in the vicinity and give birth to something entirely new. It is a part of the Earth Extreme Heavenly Silent Pearl. It might find a new body after long-term contact. It can be sealed with Hong Meng purple energy or destroyed with the Heavenly Blade. It could still be sealed with purple energy. However, The pearl wasn't fully sealed. The universe in a palm might not be strong enough to seal it. It could be destroyed with the heavenly blade. This bead was only a part of the Earth Extreme Heavenly Silent Pearl. It was merely a key to finding the Earth Extreme Heavenly Silent Pearl. It was evident that the Earth Extreme Heavenly Silent Pearl was as terrifying as the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl. This was the ultimate goal of the end of all things. Jiang Hao stood still and checked his own condition. His reappearance of hidden spirit was still active, and he was at his peak. Should I take action? Recalling the terror of the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, Jiang Hao sighed. He had to take the gamble. In an instant, he began to connect the golden subrings. The 1,000 miles teleportation talisman was also activated. At the last moment, Jiang Hao was shrouded in purple energy, and he held the heavenly blade in his hand. The intent of the blade surged as if 10,000 mountains were pressing down on everything. He used the second form of the heavenly blade, mountain suppression. He slashed. Boom. The sudden attack shocked the two black-robed individuals. Both felt their scalps tingle and retreated to avoid its edge. Boom. The mountain suppression broke the formation and then crashed onto the Earth Extreme Heart-devouring pearl. The previously active bead suddenly felt suppressed by something. Countless cracks spread across the bead. Then there was a loud bang. The bead shattered into pieces and scattered in all directions. At this moment, Dongfangji's power surged again. The formation trapped most of the fragments, but a small portion flew out. "Chase after them," he said. The two black-robed individuals looked in the direction of the attack, but there was no one there. They didn't even know if it was a person who had attacked them. But they didn't have time to think about it and immediately began to chase after the fragments. Dongfangji landed on the spot where Jiang Hao had been moments ago. Impressive. This small Foundation establishment region is truly beginning to get interesting. The terrifying person from earlier, the one that triggered the human Yuan formation after that, and the person who shattered the pearl was not ordinary people. We have to leave this area as soon as possible. In the forest, Jiang Hao looked around and realized he didn't know where he was. He sensed danger behind him. He was surprised to find a giant tree attacking him. Fortunately, it was slow. Jiang Hao disappeared from the spot. He reappeared outside Blood-Tide Forest and on top of a mountain. "I'm safe for now." He let out a sigh of relief. The golden rings were powerful, but they required a little bit of time to activate. He had relied on the 1,000 miles teleportation talisman just now. Now, he only had one ring left that could be used. If necessary, he could try connecting the ring to the subring in his courtyard. He didn't know if he could leave using that. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,